This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
A very good evening to everyone. We've got a long 2.5 hours plus ahead of us. As you can see, I'm all there straight away in the Molineux dressing room. Not quite, but it'd be interesting to see what is going on there. I don't think they've got a sofa in there or
There's
anything.
still an empty space there on the left of the goalkeeper, Dave. There might be one more signing yet.
There is a space, yeah. And we're gonna have a great night. Hopefully, lots of you can get involved in the chat. I put a little bit of a poll up as well on the actual channel. And kicking us off tonight, we've got one of my members, Chris. How you doing, mate?
How you doing, Dave? All right? Yeah, good.
Thanks for helping us open the show. And we've got regular on Extra Time show and established himself now. Here is Jack. How you doing, mate?
Evening, Dave. Evening, everyone. We all okay?
I was going to say, hope you can hear. Now, if I'm looking a bit rosy-cheeked, it's because me and Paul were playing five-a-side between 6 till 7, and I've come back, had a shower, and I look like I've got my, I don't know, powdery stuff on my face. I'm not red and stuff like that. But like, we've already got 71 people joining us. Let's see, we've got in the chat straight away. We've got quite a few of the members. If you do see a wolf head next to them, then they're a fully fledged member of Always Wolves Fan TV, and you can join if you wanted to by getting involved with that and supporting the channel in the links. We've got loads of people already on saying hi, good evening. And so 2.5 hours to go. Jack, how are you feeling at the moment?
There's a feeling of serenity, isn't there, at the minute? I think I'd had a little bit of a look on Sky earlier with the transfer deadline, and it was the teams that you'd expect busy. Everton were looking at players, Southampton, Bournemouth. You know, I think we're done. I think we've identified players we wanted. I think by and large we've gone and got them. Obviously, the João Gomez one took a bit longer than perhaps people thought it would. Obviously, we've actually used that to our advantage with the free João Gomez thing, haven't we? Which is a brilliant bit of marketing. I think there's a bit of calmness about the club at the minute. I think I was saying to my friend earlier, you know, I think actually when you look back at this kind of period, I think the most important signing is going to be Lopetegui, because I think what he's done is he's kind of kick-started everything. He's given the fans a lot of belief back. He's kind of started. You can see some players are starting to improve already. We've seen more from Núñez, haven't we? You know, people like Raul and Costa have looked a little bit sharper. Collins has looked a lot better. Semedo has looked a lot better. So I think, you know, as much as the players that we've brought in are really good players, and I think we've used our, you know, identification really well to bring in the right players. I think the manager coming in just when he did November, December time, I think he's going to be absolutely key. And I think that's probably going to sort of overarch everything and be kind of the most important bit of business we've done in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, you make some really good points there, obviously. I think this is the issue with Everton as well. I mean, we have got hopefully an Everton fan coming on later. Well, he's an Everton fan at first, a Wolves fan second, Spence. Because it'd be interesting to hear his opinion on the state of play of Everton. Obviously, they were talking to Bielsa. Dyche has come in yesterday, and it's like someone said to me, it's a bit Everton be a bit like a trolley dash today, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading tonight that they tried to sign Batshuayi from out of his loan out of Galatasaray, but he said to him he wanted to sign for a more stable club. So that if that's what they're trying to get through, they're going to struggle, which is I mean, I don't know. It's not an enviable position to be in, just having a manager with a day in the transfer window to go, and you know he's got a big job to do there, which is I think good for us in the current predicament we're in. So I'm not going to complain too much about it, but I'm not sure it's a bit like trying to turn the Titanic. I think I'm not sure he's got enough power in his arms to steer the wheel, to be honest.
Well, it's going to be a big task on him. I think Conor Cody will get on with him very well, to be fair. But like what Jack says, I think I know it took about a month to get it over in, but they managed to get Lopetegui in before the World Cup.
Yeah, you've got to give him the credit, Jeff, for persisting and getting there and getting him in at the right time, and giving him time to bed in. And I have to take my hats off to him. I think with the transfer window and when they appointed Lopetegui, I think they've really given us the best shot we can of getting out of the mess. So I've got to applaud them for that, really.
Well, we're going to be asking everyone tonight as well to rate the transfer window. I mean, Wolves historically under Fosun don't like to be busy on the last day of a transfer window. They like to have all everything done. Although in previous transfer windows they have left it a little bit more later than when I say they have left it a little bit more later than other transfer windows and stuff like that. But obviously they've been working on deals. Kuna came in right at the beginning, and then they've brought in another 5 signings. Obviously the headline grabber, so to speak, is Joe Gomez, the saga. This guy is literally almost a legend, and he ain't even kicked a ball for Wolves yet, Jack.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, it's been brilliant how it's kind of played out. I mean, I've got to be honest, and I'm sure a lot of people will be in the same boat. I didn't know a lot about him when we first sort of linked. I hadn't seen very much of him apart from obviously what was available on YouTube, and I kind of had a quick search. I like what I've seen, and I was quite interested to read the article on the website where Matt Hobbs was saying that Lopetegui wasn't aware of him either, and then he sent him some videos. Yeah, and he sent him some videos, and Lopetegui basically went back to him and went, "You've got to sign this guy." So I mean, that suggests that he kind of fits the profile of what Lopetegui wants. I mean, we're only just as sort of a fan base just starting to understand how Lopetegui wants us to play, the kind of profile of player that he likes. He's kind of almost sort of moulding the current players to his style, isn't he? And I think we've just seen with the likes of Gomez and Cunha and Sarabia as well coming in, those kind of players are what he wants. And the fact that Gomez is 21 years old, Brazilian youth international, I think, was it 13, 14 million, I think we paid up front. I mean, there's a lot to like about that transfer, isn't there? When you see some of the fees that other clubs are sort of paying for good players, but not outstanding players, I think it's a really good bit of business, a really good bit of business.
Well, guys, just in the chat to just say there's about 144 of you already on. Just to let you know the format of tonight. We are going to be talking, chatting all the way up to and just a little bit after deadline. We're not anticipating much happening with Wolves. But, guys, I'm going to be seeing this all the way for 2.5 hours. We do have a lot of other guests that will be coming on. Some of you'll know, some are fans. We might have a couple of journos, might have a player coming on as well. So we need you guys to try and stick with us, keep us company all the way up to the deadline day, and we're going to want you to ask questions of our guests as well in the chat. But before we get started on that, if you're all watching live right now, whether you're watching on YouTube, I think it's live on Twitter, I think it's on the Facebook, the Always Wolves Facebook page as well. Just the first thing that we'd like to know is let us know where in the world you are watching us from and how you're watching. So are you watching on a TV? Are you watching on your iPad? Are you watching on your phone? Are you like Merv Bennett, who has like 3 screens going and stuff like that? We really would be interested thing. And then you can ask questions directly to me or to Jack or to Chris or to any of our guests. And we do have another one of our members, supporters of the channel that's coming on now, who's just got back. He's like, you look like me, mate. You've been out for a run, Josh. Yeah. I've played football. You've been in the shower. And we've both got that red glow.
Yeah. Sorry. Cold air.
Still suffering already. Look. Now listen. Before we get on to talking to you, we're just going to look through the chat. We've got Roy Collies over in Cardiff. Andy Saunders, who's one of our members. Again, if you become a member, you get one of these little wolves and they change colour. And you get little emojis as well that you can use. He's over in Albrighton watching on his phone. Adrian's watching in Dartmouth, Devon on his iPad. Roger's watching on YouTube, but what are you watching on the TV? And you think Carlos is in Spain. He's on the phone at home. Is Roger? Swanage watching on the iPad. Transfers being checked on things. This is our registered Stato and member. He'll come up with anything interesting. Carl in the chat as well. Pensnet, Elvis, and Wolves fan. Okay, Cornwall on the iPad. Carmarthen. Colin is on Facebook. He's watching on his computer. Look at this one.
What the hell?
Wanga Paroa, New Zealand, and he's on his laptop. Levy is on the iPad. Katie, another member, is Wensfield on the iPad. Julie's watching in Wolverhampton, nice and local. Merv's right, smash a like, folk. All right. Craig, anticipate anymore. We're going to come on to that. Barnwell in Leicestershire. Darren's near Dudley. Tenbury Wells on YouTube. Dan's over in Willinghall on his Amazon tablet. Okay. Ooh. Selt Jones iPhone. He's in North Wales. We've got a few Wales in here, haven't we, boys? On the PC. He's in Cornwall, Bushbury. Smoky Dragon. Hello, mate. You're right. He's a regular in the comments. Stallington, near Stafford, not too far away. Brian's down in Southampton. Got the Saints on TV as well. So obviously, hopefully, you'll be able to get down to the upcoming match. Gaz is obviously a posh guy. He's over in Tetnall. We've got Wellington. We've got the Isle of Man guys as well. Balazala. Has anyone heard of that? I don't know where that is.
Nah.
Chromebook laptop. Over in Hedgefield, Heath Hayes. Canada, we've got Philip.
Saskatchewan. I've been to Saskatchewan.
Oh, have you really, Chris?
Yeah,
Chris, because this is like obviously a general chat as well. We need you to tell us, Chris, and I'm sure Philip will be really interested in that. Tell us about your visit to. Can you say the name for me because I can't pronounce
Saskatchewan? That. Yeah, so I've been to Saskatchewan on a bit of an excursion because I regularly used to go through work to a place called Medicine Hat in Alberta, which people know all about. You probably know what my work role is because I've been there. But it's an amazing country, Alberta and Saskatchewan. They're just vast bits of country. And the roads are dead straight and they just go for hundreds and hundreds of miles. Trans-Canadian Express, I think it's called the road. And it's amazing. I've been to some nice dinosaur museums around there, which has been quite interesting over the time.
I like my dinosaurs as well, actually.
And also it's close to Calgary, which is a bit east of Saskatchewan. As north of there is Banff. And where all the skiing is, and that's quite Sulphur Mountain, that sort of stuff. It's a lovely part of the world. Sounds
great. Well, Charles is in Stafford. That as well. We've got Chris over in Alzoe, Christchurch in Dorset, watching on YouTube. Liscard in Cornwall. Cornwall again from Barry. Barnsley we've got here. Apparently, Basalsala is a village right next to the airport on the island. Yeah. We've got Aberystwyth as well, but he's from Stafford. And Carl says Canada's a very nice place. He's got some relatives. Carl has got relatives everywhere.
Nephew from Wales on tonight, isn't there?
Mate, I'll tell you what, Carl, it doesn't matter where in the world it is. It could be anywhere, a little island in the middle of the Pacific. I guarantee you he's got relatives there. He's got a big family, his Carl. Andrew, yes. He says, thank you for putting a poll in the chat. I've been busting your balls for months to do it. Thank you very much. Well, I found out how to do it today, so I thought about you, Andrew. So there is a poll going on. You're going to let me know the result of that poll. Where are we at the moment, Miss Producer?
56% great.
56% great.
36% good.
36% good.
7% okay.
7% okay.
And someone's put bad.
And somebody has put bad. 1%. Listen, if you've put bad, we need you. We need you to know.
I can kind of understand why somebody would have said that, Dave.
You what? Sorry.
I can understand why somebody would think that, but I haven't rated it like that. But I can understand why somebody would.
Well, we might come on to that in a minute. And Josh, we haven't forgot about you. I can see that you're catching up on your tea there. Darren Thomas says, I'm Dad doing an Elvis tribute where I work in a care home next week. There's old people that can remember the old Wolves players from the 1950s. Fantastic. Well, that's got to be worth it. We could almost go down there and do a live down. That'd be good.
It's nice. He's told us that, Dave, and he's come on. Otherwise, you might have been a bit lonesome tonight.
Oh my goodness me! That's that is pretty good. I'll tell you what, we can put you in the jailhouse and rock there for that, mate.
Yeah.
But actually, if you put you behind those things behind that you got behind you, the blinds, it's almost
the blind, yeah.
In the jailhouse.
Yeah.
Who put bad up? Like Merv said here, who put bad up? Bad own up. Andrew Topman, welcome.
It's probably Scott Sellers, wasn't it?
Merv said it's probably Bruno Lage. That's very good. Fantastic. He used to sell hot dogs and burgers outside Molineux, his call when he was playing Happy Days. We've got loads of people in the comments living here. Look at this. I mean, great. Fantastic. Ralph's all right. He's had a little operation. Ralph has, the dog, if you don't know. He's had a little operation that sometimes male dogs have. So he's been a little bit sore for a while, but apparently he's fully recovered now. He's going to be our guest tomorrow because we've got movie night and everything like that. Oh, look at this. Dan, it's like Return to Sender 8, Dave. Oh, it's all coming. If you've got any Elvis jokes to go with that, keep it coming. What's the... we are going to be talking transfer. We have got 2.5 hours to kill. So, guys, this is the first question that we've got from the for us tonight. And everyone has got to name, Darren has asked, what is your favourite Elvis song? Now, as Josh has been very quiet, this is what he's waited for, all year, to name his favourite Elvis song.
So mine has got to be, funnily enough, I actually do know an Elvis song, so that's all right. Probably Rock Around the Clock.
Rock Around the Clock. No, that's not Elvis.
Is it not? I got back
and
played
Bill Haley in the comics,
songs,
mate, that's an epic fail straight away. That's Bill Haley in the comics.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I'll have to have a think. No.
We'll go with Jack.
Favorite Elvis song, In the Ghetto. That's a great song.
Oh, that is a great song. In the Ghetto. Good choice. Chris?
My favourite Elvis song is Don't Be Cruel.
Don't be cruel. It's true. Yeah. I like that one. Yeah. I like American Trilogy. Yeah. That's quite an epic one. I do like In the Ghetto. And Wooden Heart. He's shit them, a sit them, ain't the dealing house. That's about right. You can speak German, can't you, Chris?
Yeah, but I can't sing that song. I don't know what the words are, but yeah.
It's close.
I don't think he's made a bad song, really, has he?
Oh my God, Jack! Roger Tomlinson's going for Viva Las Vegas. We've got Suspicious Minds, a couple of Suspicious Minds. I think some of the players thinking about going to Everton have got Suspicious Minds at the moment. But someone obviously a big fan, Kev, from a Jack to a King. Mark's put whatever Dave's dad sings. It sounded like your dad then. That's not good. Suspicious Minds again there. Come on, we're going to go back to you now then, Josh. We'll give you a bit of time.
So having a think, I'd probably say Going Off, and there's one that's just cropped up actually in the comments. JLS Rock.
JLS Rock, that's a class one. And I've got to say, Darren Timmins has come up with a great one. If I Can Dream, that is an absolutely brilliant Elvis song. Oh yeah, Love Me Tender as well. Return to Sender. There's some good ones there. So yeah, so entertainment. We've talked about pretty much everything and anything. But Josh, let's get back onto the transfer window. And what are your obviously it doesn't look like Wolves are bringing in anyone else, but what are your thoughts on the window?
I think it's been all right. I don't think it's been a failure. It's the most we've moved in January in a long while, I think. I think they've all been astute signings. Dawson is exactly what we need, a leader at the back. Daniel Bentley as well, 29-year-old goalkeeper, is going to potentially push Jose Sarr, but he was captain at Bristol City, so he's got leadership skills. 50 grand as well, you can't knock that.
That's what we paid for him at 50 grand. It's like a bag of pork scratchings in the scheme of things. Hey? Oh, the producer said she thought it was 500,000. Was it actually 50,000?
I thought I've read 50.
Yeah.
Because that's like a bag of pork scratchings in the scheme of things, isn't it? That.
Considering he was their captain, he's English, you'd have thought they'd have gone a bit more than that. I know his contract's up in the summer.
Well, I think that's a big lot to do with it. It seems I listened to Dan Bentley's interview as well, and the one thing that struck me is just so normal. He's so down to earth, and I like that about him.
He's very grounded. Seems like an old head, even though he's not really old, if you know what I mean. Bit of something about him that can help people out.
Absolutely.
Definitely shades of John Ruddy, aren't they? Yeah. Very similar to John Ruddy. He even sounded like him when they did the interview. If you close your eyes, you could almost hear the same. I don't know if that's from the same sort of area, but there's definitely shades.
I think he's from Southend, isn't he? I think.
Yeah.
Well, he started off at Southend, and was it at Southend when he saved the penalties?
Let's have a look. Yeah, he was. Yeah, let's have a look. So, quick Google. Google's your friend. Daniel Bentley.
Google is definitely your friend.
He's from Basildon. Is that Essex still?
Lovely place.
Chris, is there anywhere you haven't been?
Yeah, I've been around a way. Been around a lot, Dave.
Well, we will be continuing. We've been around a lot. We will be continuing this thing because I think that would be a good one. And don't forget, guys, if you've got any questions for us to answer, please make sure you get involved with the voting as well and stuff. And we will be having some more guests joining us as well because you've got to keep us company all the way through to deadline day. Not that we're expecting a lot to happen. The EFL Cup at the moment. We're only about half an hour in, I think, and it's 2-1 to Newcastle, 3-1 on aggregate. You could say it's probably going to be a Newcastle versus United final in that. Is there some, them leagues below the Premier League? Is there some matches going on there tonight as well?
I think there may be.
There is, yeah.
I'm not sure that's that. I think Southampton have still got a chance in that game, Dave. I've got it on the TV at the moment. But they went 2-0 down, but they fought back quite well. The second part of the first half.
I know, but they were already 1-0 down from the first game.
Yeah, but they played all right. So,
yeah, there's an FA Cup 4th round replay, Birmingham and Blackburn.
There's
Luton, Cardiff in the thing. There's a couple of League Two.
Sanderson's captain for Birmingham tonight in that game.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. He's doing well for himself as well, Sanderson. And guys, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, if you do subscribe to the channel, it does mean that you can get involved in the chat as well. Yeah, Carl's coming out with all of the scores. Darren Timmins has got a question, and whilst we bring that on, we're going to bring a lovely man who's a friend of the show on as well. We're going to bring Hoops on. Hello, Hoops.
Just get myself off mute. Evening, gents. How are we all doing?
Yeah, we got a lovely background with Molineux there for us as well, so we can
see the Wolves made a return.
Six time on, so we can talk. Hoops, just before you get started, you did miss out on the first question from the guys watching tonight, and that is your favourite Elvis song.
Oh God, it's got to be The Wonder of You, hasn't it? Okay.
Oh, what a do you know what? I should have said that because
it seems the obvious one.
If you haven't listened to the latest Always Wolves podcast, we had Johnny Phillips that joined us. Did you listen to it? Any of you guys listen to it?
I'm part way through. I've got like so many podcasts I go through. So yeah, I've part way through. So yeah, I'll catch up with that one.
Well, one of the things that we talked about quite a lot of depth was the Molineux atmosphere, which is again another interesting subject. Which Johnny wrote an article in the Express and Star. I'm on the Match Day Experience group. It's put in the group, and it started quite a big debate. And we talked about it, and we're talking about like Wolves having an anthem, like the likes of Forest do and Leeds do and stuff do. And I was saying like, it's hard just to pick a song out. The thing, I know people go on about the Liquidator, but I mean, I don't know what each of you guys think on the Liquidator. I'm not personally for it because I think it's more about the stripe a lot down the road than it is about Wolves, and I'd rather have a proper anthem that is all about Wolves that we can sing to, and it has to have some tradition. And Wonder of You is one I mentioned on the podcast because that's something everyone can sing to and carry on singing. And the other one that's come up a lot after the podcast is Those Were the Days that everyone can get into. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be quite interested to know, and we'll go around on that, guys, we'll come on to Daz's question a little bit later, but what, on that, what do you think about as an anthem for Wolves? Are you pro Liquidator or pro something else like what I'm thinking?
I think the Liquidator, I think we've moved on from the fan base as a fan base and that era. We need to just leave out where it was and let the other lot mess about with it, and we'll just go with something better. It doesn't really hold much for me, that. It's all it does is just go on about them. So let's go some different, come up with something different. Those Were the Days, I think, would be mine. My choice, Dave, because nobody else sings that song. That's our song.
Well, this is what the point is of having an actual anthem. I mean, we have got the obviously the want to get the atmosphere ramped up and stuff like that. And if you went to Forest Away, as much as it made no sense to me, Mullen Kintyre, although I have listened to the reason why it started in a pub, it was fantastic. The way they stopped the music and they were singing and they did it at half time. Leeds have got one. We've got obviously Hi-O Wolverhampton, but you only really sing Hi-O Wolverhampton during the song, and that's about it.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday sing that better than we do, unfortunately, as well.
Well, it's sang at the Villa as well. It's sang at it isn't really unique. It isn't unique to Wolves, so it's about having an identity, a song that you can maybe spin your scarves to, and everyone can carry on singing. They know the words, and it's got a bit of tradition. But I mean, I'll be interested to hear your opinion on that, Hoops. We'll go around everyone else as well.
Yeah, I mean, first on the Liquidator, I think it's a bit naive to think that bringing the Liquidator back suddenly solves the issue with the atmosphere, because ultimately that will be played, preceding the kickoff, and you've got to maintain the atmosphere for 90 minutes. So I think there's a whole discussion about the atmosphere or their lack of, and we're not alone in that. But yeah, there's been some good references there. Sheffield United as well, with the sort of the Greasy Chip Butty song is another one that I think is quite unique to them. Yeah. I mean, Those Were the Days is very traditional, and I think somebody raised the point on Twitter about the fact that there's this sort of appeal for new songs, but we've got a hell of a back catalogue of songs. I accept that some of them may not be as relevant, but we have, and when they get going, that's something else. But I think you can look at the pre-match build-up, you can look at the music, you can look at maybe having more of a local twist. So, you could have your Slade and lots of local bands. I mean, Man United, I believe, still do it with a lot of the Stone Roses, for example. City will do it with Oasis. So I think the link to have local artists is great, but I think there's a bigger point with the atmosphere here. And I just feel that I don't know if it's the style of play. I don't know if people are fatigued, that it's not, the first season with Nuno, we were on a crest of a wave. We're playing these sides again. Now we seem to be playing United and Liverpool so often. I just think there's something missing there. And I think we can look at a songbook and we look at ways of revving the crowd up pre-game. I mean, Newcastle was referenced earlier, and they've done a campaign with, is it War Flags that they do? So they've done an independent sort of campaign, and I like seeing the banners and the flags and so forth. And I think the club will get on board on it with it, but everybody's got to buy into it. But I think there are deeper issues with the atmosphere. I mean, a successful side, of course, helps, but I don't know about you guys. I've said this before. Some of the best atmospheres I've seen is in the League One days, and because there was a more of a connection there. So it doesn't automatically mean that just because you're successful on the pitch, you get great atmospheres. Arsenal, up until recently, have never had a good atmosphere. And again, they've gone back to the fans and they've come up with something. So we may need to look at something unique. And I think the club will look at it. But just bringing the liquidator back isn't automatically going to, solve the atmosphere. I think it'll be a result of many factors of bringing them back. Primarily, the football's got to be right, and we want a style of play, a style of press which excites the fans. But I think anything that the fans can put forward will help. But yeah, I think there's lots more to it on this. And Adrian on the comments makes a good point here. I think you might get a kickback about this sort of superficial way of generating it. I mean, we trialed the Impossible Dream, if people remember back in the Jess Moxie days. I remember having my hymn sheet
when we got promoted.
Yeah. But you know what?
Dream, but it came true.
Yeah, but I'm all for any ideas, but we're an interesting demographic of Wolves fans, and we need the majority to buy into it. So I'll be interested to see if that takes off. But I agree, the atmosphere hasn't been great for some time, but I think there's a lot of factors involved in that. I think
lockdown didn't help, but I think the biggest thing that's affected our lockdown is Bruno Lage. I think he killed it. He killed the team and he's killed the atmosphere. And Newcastle atmosphere is good now, but that's because they're playing out the skins. And Arsenal, I know their atmosphere has been pretty dross, but it's only really this season their atmosphere has come back, and it's because they're playing well. It goes hand in hand. We've got to try and do something to spur them on, but they've got to do something with the play and style and get us behind them. And unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. I think everybody's going to the match worried about what the result's going to be foremost at the moment, and I think it puts you on a bit of a back foot before we start. That's the problem.
Well, we'll hold that thought because we're going to continue this. But I have got a nice little special guest that I want to bring on because she's over in Barcelona. No, and it's not.
I've been there as well, Dave.
Well, she's over in Barcelona, and it's lovely to welcome her because she's going to be making her debut on the channel.
God. Hello.
Hello.
Eve. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Fantastic. I want to thank Andrew Knight for his donation. That helps power and buy the software as well. So I do appreciate that. Thank you. Now, guys, if you don't know who Eve is, she is an absolute superstar. And you are from the one of my partners, which is from the Circle app, isn't it?
Yeah, Circle. Yeah, we sponsored you. When is it? How long has it been now? 3 months?
3 months, yeah. It's a fantastic little app. And I've invited her on tonight to say hi because she's a big football fan. And you're over in Barcelona. And the other night you went to the new camp, didn't you?
No, I'm going on Sunday. So my brother, who I started the company with and work with, he's coming over to visit. And my Christmas present was a trip to Camp Nou. So off we go.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Now, mate, I want you, whilst I've got you on for just a few minutes, because we do have another special guest backstage that's just come on as well, who works for The Athletic. as well, which is the thing. So, Eve, just tell everyone a bit about your backstory. I mean, I don't know who your team is, but also a little bit about Circle and how people can get involved with it and what's the backstory of it and the idea, because it's really good, this app. And I'd recommend everyone download it. And I've got a little QR code to put on the screen in a minute for you.
Nice. Well, yeah, as Dave mentioned, my name's Eve. Hate to disappoint you all. I'm actually an Arsenal fan and proud. Of course, I am. Not doing bad this season.
You're doing all right, yeah.
Yeah, we've had our bad times for sure. I think it's well deserved by now. But yeah, we basically started an app called Circle. It's a sweepstakes football game, and basically our idea around it is a betting game. There's no beating around the bush, but basically the main idea behind it is just basically to boost engagement with football. So it works a little bit differently. It's kind of got a low barrier to entry, if you like. You don't have to be a football guru to understand it. But we basically, I think it was actually a Saints and City game where we came up with the idea. Dad's a Saints supporter, so I've been brought up going to St Mary's quite a bit. He was rather disappointed when I chose Arsenal, but we came up with the idea just to basically maximize engagement with the game itself. So the way it works is like someone's at the top, and live events that happen in football, so your headers, your corners, your free kicks, your yellow cards, whatever it would be, have like different values. And so like a -3 or +3, and that affects the way that you shift in the circle, and whoever's there at kind of the final whistle gets the pot. So it's kind of, you're only putting in a couple quid at a time, if you like. And yeah, it's just a good way to kind of
You can have up to like 200 people on, and sometimes you have just one with a goal. If there's a goal happening, whoever's at the top wins part of the pot as well.
Yeah,
and I think I've got some comments here actually. Rebecca Harper wants to say she loves the Circle app, which is really
love
nice.
that.
Yeah, and Carl Whitehouse as well. He's obviously got the download it as well. Circle app is brilliant. It's been good. It's been good fun. Now, how did you come up with the idea for the Circle app?
So it was basically, I can't take all credit. It was actually my brother who kind of tested it in its raw state. He basically got a hat. You know, like the old school pub sweepstake games where you put in a couple quid and like something happens at the end, whoever ends up with the hat gets the money basically. And they just tried it in the stadium and they passed it and they were like, all right, every time there's like the ball goes out of play, let's like pass the hat like three seats down. And they were like, oh, there's actually something that's going on with this. Like, yeah, I'm super engaged in obviously the game itself, but also I'm kind of like, oh, I need the ball to go out off the pitch again. And it just kind of made like, it's put there really for kind of your Watford, Brentfords or whatever it would be, like make them a little bit more interesting. And then it just came from there. So we all got chatting, got a few more on board. We've got a really talented CTO who did some work previously with Sky Bet actually. And we just went from spidergrams to Figma to app development, and then here we are 3 years later. So,
mate, I'll tell you, I've got to say, it's absolutely great. I play it. It's fun. There's always a free game as well every week.
Yeah,
and guys, there's a QR code on the screen. So I would take this opportunity, if you've got a QR scanner, check it out, download it. You know, experiment. You know, if you want, we always have an Always Wolves game as well. Every match where you can jump onto that, and then there's lots of other games, and they do a free one every week as well, which is up to 100 people, and you can win a bit of money that you don't even have to put any money into, and you can try it out and get involved, and you can chat during the game as well. So if you basically take a picture of the screen right now, you can get that QR code. And that's the Always Wolves QR. Download it, get yourself on it. We'll be having a game for the Liverpool match at the weekend, and it's really, really, really good fun. Eve, you know, Wolves going to stay up?
Pardon, what was that?
Are Wolves going to stay up?
God, I hope so.
We all hope so. Are Arsenal going to win the league?
Yeah, come on, we know it. I mean, there was a bit more of a gap before, but let's hope. Let's hope. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling positive. We're on top form.
Right.
Looking strong. Is it?
Mate, I'm literally hoping that Arsenal have won the league before the end of the season.
Yeah.
So you've got your flip flops on and you're on the beach for the last match of the season. That's what I'm hoping.
It's the dream. I'll be definitely lifting a few pints for that for sure. But I think we just signed Jorginho from Chelsea. I don't know. Hopefully, will be some good. I do feel like we kind of signed Chelsea's second-hand stuff at the moment, but hopefully it will be good.
Well, that's good, and we're gonna beat Liverpool at the weekend as well. Eve, thank you for giving up a few minutes of your time to come on tonight. And obviously, you know, we're going to be doing a lot more work with you this year and stuff like that with the Circle app and stuff. And I would just say, like, to everyone, just before we get Steve on, who's from The Athletic, definitely take the opportunity to download it, scan it. You know, there's a load, as I say, we've had some people on here who already use it and they're enjoying it. And in fact, they've won a bit of money on it as well. Get it. The producer's saying she won 50 quid, the producer.
Hey,
I know as well. So yeah, it's fun. It's different. So if you like your betting apps, it's something completely different to anything else. It's going to take over the world. It's
watch this space. We hope so. No, I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for letting me come on.
No, it's appreciated, and thank you for the support, and thanks for giving up your time, mate. I appreciate it.
No, we love it. Nice to meet you guys.
See ya.
Cheers.
I'll be rooting for you Sunday. I'll be rooting for you.
Adele, thank you. We need the points, mate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Carl's got 66 quid and counting. He's won.
Hey,
nice one. So there's a lot of happy users, mate.
Yeah, I love to hear it.
I've just downloaded it and also.
Yay, let's get going. We'll set up a circle. I'm sure Dave can drop us in a little private circle at some point.
No, that would be good. Oh, Rebecca says she won £20 without even knowing. Emma had to let me know.
God, sometimes I wish I was a user instead of putting all my money back into it. God.
I know, it's brilliant. It really is good. Right.
I'm glad.
Eve, thank you very much. We'll get you. I'll definitely have to get you on again as a half-time guest to a watch along when we got a bit more time. We've got so much to talk about tonight.
I'm holding you to that Wolves game when I come home as well.
No, definitely. We'll get you in for that. Don't worry.
I'm down. All right.
It'd be nice to meet you in person as well. Catch you later, Eve.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
So that's Eve, and we do have next up. Hey, Steve.
Evening all.
Evening all.
Evening.
We've got Steve Madeley joining us now from The Athletic. Mate, it's so good. Thank you for taking time to join us here on the live show. I appreciate you giving your time up again on the transfer deadline day. I bet you're quite glad in some ways that it's not manic, but you've always got to be keeping an eye on everything, haven't you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I was told 2 or 3 days ago that once Joe Gomez was done, that nothing else would happen, and I kind of believed it. But I've been burnt so many times on transfer deadline day over the years that you never quite switch off until 11 o'clock. But yeah, it was. I was actually down at the training ground earlier for something else, which will become clear later in the week. And it was fairly obvious that it was all very calm down there, and that the business was all done, and they weren't rushing around like mad things like sometimes happens at clubs on deadline day. So. Yeah, it's been one of the calmest ones I can remember, really.
Steve, obviously things have changed a little bit since Julian Lopetegui's come in. You've been obviously quite busy with all the stuff that's been going on. From your perspective, obviously reporting on The Athletic, are you enjoying reporting on Wolves? And how have you felt that this window's been? Has it been a bit more exciting than the previous one?
Well, to stop the first part of your question, yes, I am. It's a great club to deal with, and obviously a great place to go and watch football. And for me, it's local as well. I live in Wolverhampton. Have done for a while. So from that point of view, it's great. It's great. I just wish they'd start winning a few more games, because I've kind of come from covering another club which we won't mention on this podcast, where I mean I love that as well for the most part, but for the last 2 or 3 seasons the football was grim, and I've kind of moved over to covering Wolves, and for a large part of this season the football's been grim as well. So hopefully the football will improve to match the rest of the job, which has been really good so far.
What are the questions we were just talking about with Hoops, Chris, Joss, and Jack? There's the hot topic at the moment, of course, has been the Molineux atmosphere. There's various trains of thought on this, that the fans should make the atmosphere, but like obviously then there's the train of thought that it's been my train of thought on it, the atmosphere has been tailing off since February last year because there's a general malaise set in the fact that there hasn't been many goals, excitement, and we talk about Arsenal. I remember going to Arsenal 3 or 4 years ago before the pandemic 2 or 3 times, and the atmosphere was terrible. But when we went last year, and we were battling for the European places, and it was at 2-1. The atmosphere was fantastic, and that's carried on this year. And the excitement with the Arsenal fans, for example, the atmosphere now has completely changed. So it's all. I think that's a lot to do with they're playing more exciting, they're scoring more goals. That they've got something that they're really going for. And I also think that the Wolves fans at the moment have been a little bit nervous about the position in the table, and jittery and stuff like that. What and you got the VAR thing and coming out the pandemic. Where do you sit on that?
I think the fans generally take the lead from the team, don't they? I know it kind of works both ways, but I think generally the fans are only going to react to what they see, aren't they? And the goals record this season kind of speaks for itself. It hasn't been great to watch, has it? Since I've been doing this job, took over in the summer, there haven't been many goals, and it's not just there haven't been many goals. There haven't been many chances, and the tempo of the players has often been quite slow and deliberate. And I think until that changes, the atmosphere isn't going to particularly improve. And like you say, there are naturally going to be nerves, aren't there? Wolves haven't been used to being in relegation battles in the last 3 or 4 seasons, so it's kind of something new, and it's kind of something that naturally you're going to be a bit jittery about.
Yeah, Chris and Hoops, Josh has just gone off to get a drink. I think Jack will be back in a minute. Chris, Josh, and Hoops, if you've got any questions, and again, anyone in the chat, if you've got any questions, well, I do believe we've got you till about another 10 minutes. Have you got any questions for Steve? We'll go around the table. Chris, you got anything first for Steve to talk on?
The thing that I'd like to see what Steve's thoughts are. There's a lot of players that we've been linked with in the summer window and just around Christmas time that seem to be on the market now, but are going elsewhere. And I just wonder whether it really is just all paper talk, or we've moved on from these people, because people like Batshuayi, who seem to be available now but doesn't want to go to Everton because they're not stable. We were looking at signing him at one point in the summer, and I don't know whether that was true or not, but it seems to be a lot of the players. Felipe's gone to Nottingham Forest. We were looking at him, and it just seems a bit strange that these players appear at clubs a lot longer after we've been looking at them, and whether there's any truth in any of that or not, whether Steve knows.
I don't know which players you mean, apart from those 2 you just mentioned. So I'll just take those 2. They were both considered, but Batshuayi didn't. Forgive my lack of research, but didn't Batshuayi end up going?
He went to Galatasaray.
Yeah.
But Everton have tried to sign him in this window, and on loan, and he said that he'd go there permanently, but he'd only go back to England to a club that was more stable, which says a lot for Everton.
I think ultimately with both of those players, Wolves have had a number of options, and they've gone for different options to those players. So in Batshuayi's case, they went for Sasha Kalajdzic as their striker in the summer, and in the case of Felipe, they've ended up plumping for Craig Dawson, which means Felipe has obviously gone elsewhere. So I'm not sure there's anything particularly unusual in that. It's just clubs are always going to have a range of options, and then ultimately they choose one, or maybe they don't get the first one, so they end up with option two or three. But I think in both of those cases, I think ultimately Wolves chose to go down a different route.
Yeah, I think Dawson was probably the number one choice. Josh, have you got a question for Steve?
I say Carl's just asked it as well. I say my question is, like, this transfer window, really, you look at the players that we've signed, and my brother said it, a lot of them now, you could probably put Kalajdzic under that bracket as well in the summer, don't seem to be under the Gestifute agency. Do you think we're looking more away from outside of Mendes, as well as using him where we need to, obviously, when we can? But is there like mutants from in the club that we're starting to look at away from him, or do you think it was just the pull of the manager with some of these players?
I think they've been trying to do that for a while, but I wouldn't over-egg it. In terms of Kalajdzic, there was definitely an element of Gestifute in that deal. He's not a Mendes client, but there was definitely an element of George Mendes being involved in that deal. I'm not sure with João Gomez, but a young guy coming from Brazil does have a lot of hallmarks of George Mendes being involved. Clearly, Mateus Nunes in the summer was a Mendes deal. Mateus Cunha, I think, would have had some element of Mendes involved in it. So I think Wolves would hope to diversify a little bit, but I wouldn't be writing off George Mendes' involvement anytime soon.
Okay, and Hoops?
I think for me, Steve, I suppose from your perspective, perhaps what we don't see, because you're privy to the press conferences, is just, I guess, an interest in how your relationship with Bruno Lage differs to Lopetegui. I know it's early days for Lopetegui. You know, we get a feel as fans that Julian comes across as a lot more charismatic and a lot more authoritative and sort of more of a leader. So from your perspective, have you seen that change in terms of how he enters a press conference to how Bruno does, and how he carries an audience, and how he presents himself? And what would your differences be between those two personalities?
Definitely different personalities. What I would say about Bruno Lage was he was brilliant in press conferences. He was really engaging, really charming. Gave you lots of his time. Gave what always seemed to come across as sensible answers. So from that point of view, couldn't fault him. And I think a lot of the staff, the non-football staff around the club would say the same, that he was a really popular guy who they really liked. But excuse me, the big thing that Bruno Lage didn't manage to do was completely ever win over the players, who I think who are obviously the most important people in terms of making or breaking a manager. I would say Julian Lopetegui is, in press conferences, he's good as well. He's engaging. He answers your questions, but he's a lot more, I would say, business-like in his press conferences. So he comes in, answers the questions, does it, and he does have. It's hard to put a finger on it. A bit of an aura about him. I think that you would kind of imagine him being probably a bit more assertive than Bruno Lage might be.
That's a great question there, Hoops. Jack, you've obviously managed to sort your internet out. Have you got a question for Steve?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure what's already been asked. I was just going to sort of talk. I mean, a lot of sort of you go to the journals and stuff. What's the feeling among sort of the wider football public about people think we've really hit on the jackpot with him as a manager, or are people still sort of waiting to see kind of how it pans out?
Sorry, Jack, I missed most of that question. I'm afraid, mate.
I think what he was saying was, how do you think the general fan base is taking to Lopetegui?
Is it not working?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there, Jack. You're sort of like intermittent. I think he was asking about the fan base that are fully on board with Lopetegui, and I think that's what he was trying to say.
You're going to be like the wider
the
base
and the media
outside the fans as well. I think you mentioned
and the
like
what,
the
Josh?
External thoughts outside the fan base. I think
outside the fan base, right? Got you.
Right.
From a media point of view,
I think from a media point of view, there's a sense that Wolves have kind of gone out and got a heavy hitter. I mean, obviously he wasn't at Real Madrid for long, but he's got Real Madrid on his CV. He's got Europa League victory on his CV. He's got Spain on his CV. So I think that's just the general feeling that Wolves have pulled off a bit of a coup in terms of being able to get someone with this kind of CV.
I think that's fair comment. Now, Steve, we've got something special for you. I've got one more question for you before you go in a second, but we've got to do something very special before you go, because it's a rite of passage, that is the spin the wheel. Basically, Steve, what happens here is we spin this wheel, and whatever question it lands on, it could be a Wolves question, it could be something completely random, and you get to answer it. Are you down?
Go on.
Let's do it. So this is just a bit of fun. Oh, this is a nice one. So, Steve, the question is, you can have 3 dinner guests round to your house, dead or alive. Who would you invite?
Oh, God. Can we have a Wolves question instead?
It's a good one, isn't it, that?
It is. And I'm going to answer to it because I've come in here prepared for Wolves questions. I don't know.
It could be a hero. It could be anybody. You know.
Yeah.
From a band, music,
yeah,
anything.
Yeah. John Lennon, George Best, and is it Winston Churchill?
That's a really, really good answer. Can you imagine having dinner with all of them? John Lennon, George Best, and Winston Churchill. I won't say what would you ask them or anything like that. Now, Steve, you mentioned when you came on, you've been down to Wolves today, to Compton, yeah?
Yeah.
And you obviously said that you didn't feel anything else was going on, but you dropped in something. Something's going on which will become apparent next week.
No. That was a bad choice of phrase on my part. Basically, we pop in kind of fairly regularly just to chat to people who kind of help us out with things that we write in or to find information. So yeah, there's nothing particularly unusual about today.
Have you got another article coming out next week, a long read?
Well, we've got a few coming out in the next few days because the window's obviously closing, and we're just trying to explain what's gone on over the course of the window. So yeah, I probably shouldn't have phrased it like that. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary in terms of it's kind of our job to be down there speaking to people. So that's
do you have like a proper little press pass and everything?
No, we just go down when we're invited, or if we need to speak to someone, we'll ask the question, and they'll either say yes or they'll say no. So
no, that's absolutely fantastic, mate. And I mean, how would you rate Wolves transfer window out of 10?
I think I was asked this question today, actually for a piece that published this morning. I think if you had to rate the Fosun's window, I think you'd have to say 10 out of 10, wouldn't you? In the they've having spent 100 million quid in the summer, they've spent another 75 million quid in January, which must be, apart from Chelsea, there can't be too many clubs in the Premier League who've spent more than that this window. So they've backed Lopetegui to the hilt in terms of giving him what he wants. And I know a lot of fans are going on about needing a number 9. Well, Wolves would say that they've spent 43 million quid on a number 9. Fans might not think he's a number 9, but Wolves do. So I think you kind of got to judge them on.
Do you know what, Steve? It's interesting you to say that, because our producer Emma, exactly what she said. She said she thinks that Lopetegui and the team see Kuna as that number 9, and we've also brought in Sarabia, that's is renowned for scoring goals and being around the penalty area. I mean, he only was on 5 or 10 minutes in the last game. He created chances, was getting in and around the box. So I'm quite excited to see what he brings. Who would you say, just before I know you got to shoot off, is the standout signing for Wolves? I
think if you take on, kind of analyse it as a whole, in terms of the CV that he's got, the clubs that he's played for, potentially what he's going to add to the squad, and also the ridiculously low transfer fee that they got him for, in context of everything else, Sarabia has to be the one that stands out, I think. I mean, there are some exciting ones. Obviously, João Gomez is the one that...
He's a legend, and he ain't even kicked a ball yet.
With Leon that got everyone involved, and that there's a lot of potential there for him to get better and to be either become a star at Wolves or make Wolves a massive profit in a short space of time. But for the here and now, I mean, I'm not even sure from what people are saying today that Gomez will be in the squad on Saturday. You know, he hasn't played for 2 months. He needs a bit of time to work with the fitness coaches. They think he'll have an impact over the course of this season, but maybe not over the course of the next few weeks. So for the here and now, you'd have to say Sarabia would be, I think, the most exciting one. And to go back to your earlier question, I think you seeing the players that they've signed play very much. So I think you can only give a mark out of 10 in terms of the intent that they've shown and the speed with which they've got the deals done. Like we've said, today was so calm, and the fact that they've clearly backed the manager to a massive extent. I think from all those boxes, you'd have to say 10 out of 10. And in terms of the overall success of the window, it'll obviously be judged at the end of the season on whether it's kept Wolves in the Premier League.
And final question, Steve: are we staying up?
I think so, yes, but I don't. My only concern with that is I think after the West Ham win, I sensed a little bit, not complacency, but a little bit of triumphalism. That kind of we've beaten West Ham, we've got the new manager in, we're going to do some business in January. It was almost like staying up was a done deal, and I think that's far from the case. I think Wolves will stay up ultimately, but I think there'll probably be a few hairy moments along the way, and that they probably will drop back into the bottom three a few times and get out again. But I think ultimately that they probably will have enough just to stay up. And then you would hope if they stay up this year that with the manager and the intent that they've shown there, that they won't get themselves in this situation again for a few years.
Well, let's hope you're right. And guys, don't forget, Stevie's from The Athletic. You can download The Athletic app. It's a great little app. Some great articles, not just on... there's mine, Steve.
Good man.
I don't know if you can see that, yeah. And you can literally go and get your little Wolves app there, and you can see all those. I don't know if you can see. You can see all Steve's articles running down there, and there's loads of other things as well on other sports as well. So yeah, and so you're doing oh look, there's another one there. So there's quite a few good reads on there, Steve, as well. So keep up the good work, mate. I know it's tough at the moment with this season, but hopefully things are looking up, and then the supporter base are going to be happy at the end of the season. And I do appreciate you taking time to come on, mate.
Like we've said, if touch wood, they can get enough points to stay up this season. It feels like if they can, it feels like there could be an interesting couple of seasons to come after this one. So fingers crossed.
I think you're right, and I think it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster for the next bit. But thanks ever so much for taking time out your day on deadline day, because I know it's always a busy day for any journalist to come on today. So appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, enjoy the rest of the evening. I don't think much is going to
Cheers,
happen.
Steve.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, Steve.
All right,
Cheers,
see you
Steve.
later, mate.
There is some Wolves transfer news, Dave.
Yeah.
Well,
We've cancelled Andreas Sondergaard's contract, which is a little bit surprising.
Oh,
They've what?
Cancelled Andreas Sondergaard's contract.
Oh, right. Interesting. Interesting.
guys.
Well, that was
Yeah,
it.
and I
Well, he
think
was
we-
doing all right, actually, but I don't know.
yeah,
He did go back home to Denmark, though, didn't he? Last year, because he was, I think, something come out that he was feeling a bit homesick.
Right.
So whether
Yeah,
that's mutual consent, he's gone and.
Well, guys.
I was going to say, I think we've let another keeper go this week as well. Another young keeper we've released. So yeah, but there's
his name, I think.
That's the one. Yeah. So yeah, we'll wait and see. May be having some more keepers coming through.
Right. Well, anyway, what I'm going to do is I've got Craig and Nathan in the green room. So I'm going to do the Wheel of Fortune for Chris and Josh. You hoops, you still, because you come on last, are you still okay to hang around for a bit?
Yeah, another half an hour or so, mate. I'm all good. So yeah,
Josh,
by all
we'll probably
means.
get you on again, Chris again, back towards the end, because I've got to try and rotate everyone round.
No worries.
But if I do your question now on the Wheel of Fortune, or spin the wheel, the producer looks like she's heading towards the kitchen, which could mean cake time and a cup of tea time, which is fantastic. Let's get the wheel, and everyone in the chat, you can get involved with this as well, of course. Here we go. The wheel is on. So we have got some new questions on here. Apparently the producer's put on, so we could get a new one. It's in. Have you done this one before, guys? The worst and best song?
I haven't.
I think I've done that one too.
You don't? You haven't?
No, I've done it, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, this one's for Josh. What's the worst and best song ever?
I'm going to kick off straight with the best song. I am going to go with. Got to think about this one now. It's going to be Arctic Monkeys. 505.
Good choice.
Because I've seen them literally. This will be the first time tour coming up that I haven't seen them live. But they usually, apart from the last two tours, they usually finished it at the end or just before the encore, and it builds up so good all the way through, and it has that nice little chorus right at the end that really kicks in. So I think it's more of a sentiment thing of seeing it. Oh, cake! Gotta stop laughing. I keep coughing.
Cheers, there. Let me just grab that.
Do you want it? It's ever so nice.
Hand it down.
Smells good as well.
And then
your worst one?
Worst one. Let's be honest. It's got to be Baby Shark.
Baby Shark. That's great. Josh, did I ask you because we've got Nathan and Craig coming on in a minute? What was your thoughts again on the anthem and the song and stuff in the atmosphere?
So the atmosphere has been flat, definitely. I just think the build-up before games this season has been poor. I mean, the one bugbear of mine was the championship season. Every time we played the walkout song that we used with the fireworks and everything, every time the chorus kicked in on that, the players walked out the tunnel. It was bang on every game. First half of the season in the Premier League, it was there or thereabouts. And then from that second half of the first Premier League season, they're constantly having to loop it until they come out. And it just doesn't sound right anymore. And then they've obviously changed it now. They've tried a few Led Zeppelin songs since Lopetegui's coming, which I don't mind because I think they do work. But the whole build-up beforehand, the only sort of song that's got a bit of a beat, and I know it's not everyone's kind of music, is they play that song by Reaper with the video with the players and everything. Yeah. That rapper that they've got on the Wolves label.
That's a bit of a Marmite song, that is.
Yeah, some people like it, but I think a lot of the people like that, the people not too in the ground who don't too much like that genre of music, so it's not going to please everybody. I think they really need to have a rethink on music-wise, building the atmosphere up. So I think in the Championship season and the first season back in the Premier League, it was bob on. I can't think what the song was called. Cafe Del Mar, that's it. That's the one they play when the players come on. But they've got it terribly wrong. I don't know why in the Championship, in the first half of the Premier League season, the players walked out bang on as the chorus kicked in. Yeah. The song they left, like I said, they loop it, and then it just comes in at the wrong point. Players are already out.
Where are you? And I will come on to everyone else. Where are you with the goal music?
Goal music, I'm not too fussed. With it. I thought at first doing it on that season when we played Espanyol and they played it, I thought, yeah, fair enough. That should have been the end of that. As soon as that Europa League, the Premier League season was finished, on the back of that, through COVID, wasn't it? Played it for the music during COVID and the COVID games, then played it for the first few back maybe, then binned it off. But the anthem music, I still think we need to do something like Leeds do with Marching On Together.
And what would that song be for you?
For me, it's got to be Those Were the Days. Not right, just before the players start to walk on, before that starts, get Those Were the Days on. And for me, I mean, they tried it a good few years back. I mean, I'm talking easily 10 years. They tried it and they played the original one. No one really, they clicked it, but no one really followed it. But I think if someone like the Wolfpack Howlers could do a cover and get it to the club,
yeah,
I think that would work.
I could speak to Liam about that as well. I've got Mary Wells, isn't it, that did that. Right, we're going to come on to Chris now before we get on Craig and Nathan, who are in the green room. We're going to do your spin the wheel, Chris. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm with bated breath.
You love these, don't you?
Yeah.
So hold on, let me just see if I can just put that back onto the share the screen. Go onto the Chrome tab. Put on the spin the wheel. Here we go. Brand new questions, as I say. Oh, what is your favourite Wolves strip?
Got to be the 1980 season Tatung Umbro, gold and white. That's the best one for me. I mean, every Wolf strip's my favourite strip every year, but it's that's the one. That's the one I,
And what were your thoughts on the anthem to come out to and the goal?
Well, I said before, we haven't got a song like Leeds or Chelsea we've never really had one. So I mean, the Happy Wanderer was one, wasn't it? But it's not really anything you can sing to. I think maybe they should bring that back, but I think Those Were the Days should be, and it has to be Mary Wells, not some revamped version. We just got to, it's got a bit of nostalgia. Yeah, we've got to do that. The goal music, that Sevilla stuff, you just want to bin that off. It's a waste of time. We haven't scored any goals since we started doing that, so let's get rid of it and go back to James Brown. Can't stand James Brown, but at least I know if we're in out a while, we're scoring some goals.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Well, guys, I'm going to drop you guys off now, and hopefully we can get you back on towards the end of the show if you're still about, and everything like that. But because I've got Craig and Nathan waiting in the green room, and then Hoops is going to take me through for the next little period, so we start having some others coming on as well. If that's all right with you, Hoops.
Yeah, yep. No trouble at all.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to drop you guys off. Thanks so far for doing the first hour. I appreciate that.
No worries.
Right, so
cheers,
Joss and Chris off, and we're welcoming now Tuba Wolves in his big mansion. Craig, and then we've got Nathan, who's got a lovely Doritos top up behind him. Welcome to the show, guys. Hopefully you've been hearing some of the comments that we've been talking about, but we're going to get stuck in first of all with you, Craig, and what your thoughts are on the transfer window, any comments you would like to make? What's your standout signing and what's your rating on the window? It doesn't look like anything else is going to happen.
Yeah, as a fan, Dave, evening hoops, Dave and Nathan. How you doing, guys? Dave, as Wolves fans, we can really ask no more of the purchases that we've had. They're all quality signings, and they're all signings that make an awful lot of sense into what we've been lacking really for the last year. My only concern is not with the players. It's how long it's going to take all these new players to gel. I mean, we've got an absolutely world-class manager. Clearly, Fosun have realised the error of their ways. They've given him full say on all of football matters, which is the absolute right thing to do. And he sort of got to change, everything that's occurred really over the last year. Now these players will help us. Gomez, I mean, what a lad for 21 years old to have that integrity to say that he's going to sign, given all the money about. When somebody comes in and offers additional money, he's going to be a cult hero, isn't he? Lopetegui's brought in, for me, players that have not only got skill, but are willing to work and die for the cause. And I think over the last year, we've seen that lacking in the side. So I am absolutely delighted with the window. Really, really pleased with the window. We can ask no more, and we've got to see how they gel.
What you're rating it out of 10?
Yeah, a good 9.5, Dave. Subject to them performing. You know that they've got to get acclimatized to a new country, a new area, a new team, a new style, new teammates. You know, everybody thinks just because you've got a certain level of skill that it just gels overnight. Teams take time to gel, and we've not got that much time. So the quality's there. It's a 9.5 for me, Dave.
Fantastic. I'm enjoying this cake, I've got to tell you.
I'll just say
it's very nice. Nathan, same to you, mate, on the window. Your thoughts on the window, your standout signing and the rating.
Yeah, evening, Dave. Evening, everyone. I just want some of that cake. I'm not too bothered about the window now. I think Craig hit the nail on the head. It is early to tell. It's difficult to give it a rating when you don't know how they're going to gel. But from what we've seen so far, Lemina's come in and he's been tremendous. He looks like an absolute rock in that midfield. Kuna's showed flashes, and I think you mentioned earlier, Dave, about Kuna being potentially that number 9 that we've all been. This golden nugget of a number 9.
The producer thinks, which is interesting that Steve Madeley said the same.
And I think she's bang on. They don't exist. They're so few and far between, these magic number 9s that everybody's after. And I think he's going to have to fit the bill. He's probably as good as we're going to get in that middle. And to be honest, where else is he going to play? We've got so many different players and so many options in now. I don't know where else on the left or the right of that attacking 3, where else he would play but down the middle. So he's got. That's where Lopetegui's got to be earmarking him out to play. So at the moment, you'd kind of say it's an 8 or 9 for this window. I can't remember a window as good as this for the club. We've
to be honest, mate. I'm finishing off a piece for the BBC tomorrow. It's got to be in about what time's it got to be in? Is it like before lunch tomorrow? And it's like one's for 50 words, and the other one's like 150 words for different parts of the website. And one of the things is like the rating of the window. And I've been thinking about 8.5, but I'm starting to swing more to a 9 listening to you guys.
I think it has to be absolutely up there, doesn't it? Can you remember when we've signed really good players in a January window? They're very few and far between. It's a tough window as it is anyway, because nobody wants to let good players go. But to get, and I can never pronounce his name, Sabrina the witch. What's his name?
Arabia.
I think he could just
Don't
turn out like
give my dad any ideas, because Sabrina could come out. If he hears that, that'll already be Sabrina, the teenage witch. He'll settle for that. You know, he calls Daniel Pedence Bananas, or he calls Raoul Royal. He calls Lopetegui Las Vegas. He's just funny. If he hears Sabrina, that'll stick.
Let's call him Sabrina then. I think he could turn out to be
going, right now.
I think over the next few years, I think he could be as influential as Moutinho's been. He's such an amazing little player. He could really be the answer down that side. You know, Adama has been given so many chances, so many false dawns. I think it's about time the club just said, you know, go and try somewhere else. No manager's been able to get the best out of him. Every manager always says, I'll get the best out of Adama. No one ever does. I think he's quite a limited player. There's something there, but I just think we can do better. So an incredible window. If they gel, as Craig said, if they gel and they get results, we just need a few goals now to get us over that line. And hopefully there's, you know, teams like Everton, Bournemouth, Southampton will fall by the wayside and will come good.
I think that's a really good thing. Actually, Hoops, coming back onto you, I don't know if I actually asked you for your standout sign of the window and your actual rating for the window.
I mean, on the face of it, and I think what Nathan and Craig have both alluded to, we're only can base it on what we know now, and you know, the true outcome of the window will be in due course. But I think, you know, it would have been a different window if Bruno Lage would have been still in charge of this football club. Let's just play hypothetical for a moment, and he had enough positive results to kind of still be in favour. And I say that because Fosa deserve a lot of credit for the investment and fronting the money, but I think we can't, you know, understate the impact Lopetegui has on attracting these type of players and these personalities. So the fact that you look at those 6 players, Kuna, Lamina, Sarabia, Dawson, Gomez, Bentley, 6 players there, they're not squad fillers. You could make an argument to say that Bentley will come in as the assumed number 2, but I don't think you signed Dawson to be on the bench, so I would imagine he'll come into the side. Gomez has a lot of potential. We know he's potentially not match fit right now, and you know, we've mentioned Sarabia, Kuhn, Lamina. I mean, these are high quality players, and to attract these players when you're a relegation threatened club on the face of it is mad, isn't it? Really. And that would be the concern. So I think a lot has to come down to the power and the stroke of Lopetegui, that these players know of him, have had experience in some degree with him, that we've been able to get them. So yeah, it's a 9, because I think the only how can I put it, objection some fans will have would be, at one stage we were looking at a right back, we were looking at Wan-Bissaka, but I think there's been an upturn in Semedo's form, which I think has muted that need. And incidentally, he's been playing for United anyway, so I think that was a non-starter. And then there's a lot of talk about the number 9, but I think what Lopetegui's looked at is, yes, we need goals, but ultimately we need to create chances as well. And you know, with Costa and Raul and Kuna, they're only as good as the service that they're getting. I mean, can any of you think of a game this season where you've walked away and gone, you know, we should have been 2 up, we should have been 3 up? They've not taken their chances. We simply haven't created the chances. So with the likes of Sarabia and his record at Lisbon with creating chances, Kuna, Lamina doing the ugly stuff to free the others, I think it's a little bit simplistic to think you haven't got an out-and-out number 9 goal scorer, but you've got players within that will create more chances. And ultimately, if he wanted that type of player, he would have got it. As Craig's alluded to, this guy's got carte blanche, basically, within reason, to get who he wants. So I think he'll be satisfied. And also, I think they'll be thinking, well, next season, Fabio may come back in the fold. The summer, there may be more options, Klajic as well. So I think there's more than enough. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to have too many complaints about that window, because on the face of it, we've got leadership, we've got experience, we've got creative players, we've got Lamina, who's a completely different player than any other in his position, and we're future-proofing potentially for any sales in the summer in that position as well. So full credit to the board, and as I say, for Lopetegui being in charge to attract these caliber of players.
I mean, I think that sums it up absolutely, absolutely perfectly. And to be honest, I mean, it's been quite an exciting time. I've been just producer did this document earlier. It's like Everton. I don't know what they've done today so far. Have they made a signing? I haven't seen anything. I thought it was going to be a bit of a trolley dash. Obviously,
yeah, they were linked, weren't they, with a Cov striker, but I don't think that's gone through.
Yeah, I mean, we got Southampton. They'd completed Carlos Alcaraz, Maslas Orsic, James Bree. You know, they've obviously got Nathan Jones from Banana Armour in and stuff like that. Oh, we're back. I thought we'd gone for a second then. Forest seem to be the one that seems to be doing a lot of the moving and shakers. I mean, like, they've already got about 300 players, and then they've been going out again. Who? Bournemouth has signed Hamed Traore. It's just coming up. Hamed Traore. But, you know, what do you think on Nathan on this one? What do you think of Forest's approach to the transfer window?
I think the word scattergun's been used quite frequently. And you look today, you know, they've signed Felipe from Madrid, who's what a great signing that is. You know, the centre back Felipe, an absolute legend at Brazil. But, you know, how are they kind of getting away with squad numbers? Because I thought there was a limit with, you know, you can have as many under 21 kids as you want, but in terms of the 25, they seem to have a lot of players there to qualify for that 25. So,
well, I know I'm thinking about this because Joe Gomez, he doesn't actually have to be registered as such because his birthday's in February. He actually qualifies because it doesn't come into this calendar year. It does in the summer, but he doesn't have to be registered as a overseas player. I mean, one of the things that Wolves are at the limit at the moment is like their overseas to homegrown player thing. So like how a Forest, I mean, I've used this phrase again, you can't see the wood for the trees with Forest because they've got so many players that they've bought in. And yeah, they've kind of managed to start getting it to click a little bit, and they've had a decent run recently. And Felipe is a good signing for them, but I think he was second to Dawson. I think Wolves had Dawson as their first choice, and I think Felipe was their backup because they want Dawson's English, I think, or British anyway. He's got that experience and leadership qualities. Felipe's coming into the Premier League. It's a different, you know, when a player comes from abroad, it's always a bit of a different type of thing. You talk about Joe Gomez. You know, he's kind of, from what we can see, although like I don't think he'll play too much to start with, he's got the physique to become very combative in the Premier League. They called him the pit bull, didn't they, over at Flamengo and stuff. And I do think that Wolves fans do need to realise that, yeah, we've brought players in right now, but there's going to be a big changing of the guard should we stay up in the summer. The likes of Joe Gomez, I think, is seen more as a Ruben Neves successor going forward. They're sort of like, we'll bed him in and bringing him through. You've got, you know, stuff like that. And we've got people are saying, oh, we're stacked out now with midfielders. I'm glad we've got options in the midfield because I would be worried if Neves got injured. Well, I was really, really worried. We've brought in like Lamina, who's, you know, kind of a defensive ball-winning midfielder. We've got Joe Gomez, who's good at man marking, very strong in the tackle. Sarabia's an attacking type of midfielder. Hopefully we can get the best out of Nunes, bringing the ball forward. And then you've got Moutinho, Neves, and interestingly, hoops on this one. Joe Hodge hasn't gone out on loan. Lopetegui wanted to keep him.
Yeah, I mean, I like Joe Hodge, and I think obviously Lopetegui does as well. I thought it was interesting. he was quite public about that when he came in. I think Joe Hodge had a good game just prior to him coming in. So yeah, you wouldn't perhaps expect to see so much minutes, but then if you take Gomez, he's perhaps not match fit because I think he's just finished his pre-season in Brazil. Then perhaps that's in mind. Maybe he doesn't think Joe Gomez will get up to speed so soon. Does Hodge need a loan? I don't know. I don't know if he does. I mean, it depends if he's going to get games between now and the end of the season. You wouldn't think so with the not embarrassment, but riches that we've got. But yeah, I like Joe Hodge, so I think he wants him around. He relies on him when needed, so he could always take a loan move in next season. So
absolutely,
yeah, but it might be the Gomez thing potentially, which is holding him back, releasing him at this stage.
So Hoops, we've got Sutty that's coming on, so we'll be dropping you out in a second because you have done like over an hour, and I appreciate you taking the time. I have got a question for you before we get on to your spin the wheel question. The goal music, yes or no?
No, not for me. I don't think you can replicate a pure emotion of the fans. So yeah, for me. Don't know if it's a traditionalist view or what, but yeah, I just prefer just hearing the crowd noise and not music dubbed over.
Absolutely, mate. Are you ready for your spin the wheel?
We'll see what the question is, and then I'll let you know. But yeah.
All right. Well, it's spinning, and everyone in the comments can answer this as well. So here we go. This is your question. Bit of fun. Ooh. What was your first ever computer game?
The first computer game I remember playing was on the Atari, and I think people will like this game, Paperboy.
Paperboy. Oh, is that where he went down the street on the cycle and he was throwing it around like that?
Yeah. So as I say, he was on the cycle and he's got his papers and was flinging them. I think my first one I owned was a NES, Mario 1 and Duck Hunt. I remember owning at home. But yeah, the first game I remember playing was Paperboy, which I think was it on the Atari or the Commodore 64. Someone will tell me.
Mate, I had a Commodore 64. Which was after the VIC-20, and then I had a Commodore Amiga after that. And I love my Commodore 64. And my favourite game on the Commodore 64, this guy here, 3D Monster Maze ZX81. That there's only one goes before that, and that's the ZX80. But Carl's hit the nail on the head. Sensible Soccer.
Oh yeah, Swartz. I think I used to call it Sensible World of Soccer. Yeah, that was a good little game. It's like the miniature players, wasn't there? Yeah.
That was brilliant. That was better than FIFA. Chris Humphries is going with the Commodore VIC-20, and it was Snake derivative. Mark Davis, Spectrum Road Rash. Merv had the VIC-20 as well. Scramble. Lucy the Golden Girl. She had a Spectrum. Merv has still got my Commodore Amiga 1200 up in the loft. I've heard you've got a few computers up there. DJ Natsky says the world of sensible soccer. I think you put it. My goodness me, God Struggler, the BBC Micro B in 1983 had all the classics. I remember that in the classroom. I did. Darren Timmins, Asteroids. Do you remember that one? When you turn around and the little thing. Fantastic. Yeah, VIC-20 was first playing console. Remember, maybe 82. PS1, Crash Bandicoot. Someone else said Bandicoot as well. And of course, it had to be because Carl is always out. He did the beta testing on Sensible Soccer before it came out. Of course, he did. He's quite a technophobe. Some said Binatone Tennis. And here we've got the Commodore 16. Was there a Commodore 16 Kickstart? Goodness me. And we've got like Space Invaders, the 80s classics. That's started a little bit of a thing there, Hoops. Hoops, thanks ever so much for coming on the show. Obviously, it's a long one tonight with the transfer deadline, and we've had over 100 watching the whole time through. So thanks to everyone who's been watching, mate. Any final words before you shoot off tonight?
No. Thanks for everybody who's listening. Thanks for throwing us on, and up the walls. Hopefully, we'll have a positive result against Liverpool. But I'll see you soon, gents.
Ears open. Take care, mate. So that's Hoops, who's done a great job tonight. Someone else has said, "Do you remember track and field?" I remember that one. That was Carl as well. Look at Sooty. Sooty, I mean, you're nodding there. Do you remember track and field? I used to have this quick shot joystick and you used to have to go like that. You remember, shake it round and press the button and everything like that. And
on the Atari.
On the Atari. That's classic game. Daley Thompson's track and field as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the
brilliant
on and everything. You're pressing the button to try and get you faster and stuff. Craig's laughing here as well. So, he's chuckling along with that. So, good memories they are, mate.
Absolutely. You youngsters. You lot of youngsters.
Oh, mate, great times. I had as I say, a Commodore 64, and one game that I used to absolutely love, and at the time it was absolutely epic. It was called the Elite. The game was, and it was like all vector graphics, and Nathan's nodding, he remembers that. It sort of loaded the universe as you went along, because it didn't have a lot of memory, and it had this massive universe, and you'd drive this spacecraft and you could buy things and stuff, and it was such a, like today, it's like these worlds are already built in, but it was in vector graphics. It was revolutionary at the time. Oh, Merv's going Elite. The Elite 2 was epic on my Amiga. Elite is now out on modern PC, so there you go. Andy John's Ghostbusters. I had that, the Ghostbusters as well. Sorry, 26. The Daley Thompson. We started something here, haven't we? Absolutely. Craig, let's get back to brass tacks. And everything like that. Obviously, we've talked about the thing, but I'm going to bring Sooty in now on the transfer window. We're going to cover off a few different subjects as well, because we're going to talk about the atmosphere and all that sort of stuff as well, we've had with the other guys. But Sooty, give us your views on the transfer window, your standout signing and your rating on the transfer window from your perspective.
On this winter transfer window, I think our best bit of business, Dave, is Sarabia for £4.5 million. One of the Sky Sports presenters said earlier, when he was asked what's the best bit of business so far in this window, then a couple of hours ago, and he said Sarabia to Wolves for £4.5 million. He said, how have they done that?
It's like when Moutinho signed, in it, for £5 million.
But I mean, we spent £75 million in this window, and 145 the last window. Let's not be too. I mean, it's fantastic. We will be losing players in the summer somewhere. Somebody will go. There's going to be one big one go in the summer. So it'll either be Núñez or Neves, I would think. I would think Moutinho will go as well, because a lot of these players, João Gomez is a natural successor for Neves, I would think.
Yeah, well, the fact that he's on a 5.5-year contract with an option to extend as well at the age of 21, I'm pretty much sure they're seeing him as a Neves successor. I mean, we've thought Neves was going the last two windows. I mean, if you think about the fact that we've had Ruben Neves for 5 years, is it
Crazy.
5 years?
This is good though, Dave, because I mean, this is all proactive stuff, isn't it? We're not like all of a sudden Ruben Neves is gone and we're thinking, bloody hell, who are we going to get? This guy's got 6 months before next season to gel these in. And let's not be fooled here. These lads wouldn't have come here, Dave, without Lopetegui in charge. Not a chance.
Well, I think Matt Hobbs said on the last one with João Gomez, the interesting one with João Gomez, he's like almost a cult hero, and he's not even kicked a ball in anger for us yet. And he's like, but the saga behind it has made him a cult hero already, because obviously with Wolves going out for him, Leon coming in, they've sent emissary after emissary, the president, whatever, down to talk to him to say, come on, we'll pay you more money, we'll pay Flamenco more money. And, you know, and he's held firm and stood. But we do know, obviously, that Lopetegui has had calls with him. And Hobbs said, like, when Lopetegui talks to the players, they like want to sign pretty much straight away because of the way he is and the way he talks to them about what he's going to do and how it's going to work. And you have to say, in this day and age, you have to give Joe Gomez a lot of credit. He could have moved to Lyon for more money, and he stuck to his guns. And how often do you see that with a professional footballer?
Hey, Dave, it's brilliant, Dave. Let's not forget as well, this is the big boys league. This is the best league in the world by a mile. By a mile. If you do well in this league now, as a 21, 22-year-old, you've put yourself in a shop window to greatness almost. So if you can do it in this league, I know Lyon are in the Champions League year after year, but Ligue 1 isn't the Premier League by any stretch of the imagination. So, but he stuck to his word. He said he was coming. They sort of pulled the rug out from under him, didn't they, Flamenco, and said, no, we want you to go to Lyon because they're offering more money. But fair play to the kid, he stuck to his guns and he said, no, I'm going there. I want to go there. And he's come. And I think you imagine it when he makes his debut. The roof will lift off that place.
Oh, absolutely. We're hearing the actual Spurs have terminated Matt Doherty's contract and he started so he can join Atletico as a free agent. I'm going to come back to you again in a second, Sutty, on the rating for the window. But Tuba, Wolves and Craig and Nathan, your thoughts actually on the Joe Gomez saga?
Go on, Nathan, all yours.
Thanks, mate. I mean, we have had a cult hero in the past that actually didn't do anything when we sung about, he likes his wine and he likes this, and then he went back to Italy and did nothing. So we'd hope this one's a little bit better. I think it's remarkable that Craig said it, and Sutty's just said it as well. It's remarkable the kid wanted to come to us. Lyon is not a step up from Wolves. That French league is not all that. There are probably a handful of teams, a bit like many of the leagues across Europe. There are a handful of teams that are great, and then the rest are much of a muchness. So it's not a competitive league. And as you said, Sutty, this is the best league in the world. He wants to come here and it's a showcase. And who knows, he could go on to even better things from Wolves. But we've still got to see the kid play. We've still got to see him bed in. And it's going to take a few months because he's not match fit. So, but as you said, Sutty, when he does make his debut, there's going to be an almighty roar because he's already made himself a hero amongst the fans with just the way he's conducted himself. It's been incredible these last few days. And that video that Wolves did, it's just one of the greatest things that little the media team has done. They're superb, with the Forest thing with the axe, and now you've got this little video. I think that they're just top of their game. If only the rest of the club could match their skill set. We've lost that really. We've lost that connection with the board. And I think, as you were alluding to it earlier, Dave, the pre-match entertainment, the way that they're not getting the fans ready for when the teams go out on the pitch. It's almost an afterthought. It's really lazy by the club. Nothing's changed. It's just very formulaic. It's the same songs. You can be sitting in that ground for an hour before they come out, and you know which songs they're going to play in which order. And that bloody grime record they play is one of the most pieces of abomination of music I've ever heard. Everybody sitting around me in the Steve Bull stand is just doing this when it comes out. Now, we're all middle-aged, cantankerous men. We're probably not the right audience for a bit of grime, but it's awful. We need some proper, traditional music to get the fans going, and that for me isn't it.
Well, actually, that brings us quite nicely on, and we're going to go. I'm quickly going to ask Sutty for his rating on the transfer window, because we are going to talk about the atmosphere and stuff like that, because it is a hot topic, and we've covered it with everyone else. And just before I go on to that, we've got a chap here, N. Reen, has said can I give a big shout out to both Chris and Ben, who are big fans of the channel? Well, I've just done it for you there. Sutty, your rating for the transfer window.
9.5.
Wow, that's impressive. See, I'm going to have to change my score for the BBC article because I've got to move up from an 8.5.
Did you honestly think? Let's just go back 6 months to sort of beginning of August. Did you honestly think we'd spend £220 million in 6 months?
No, mate, and I didn't think we were going to be in the relegation battle either, but we are. But
No, but we are. But you would, if I'd have said to you last August, Dave, by mid-January, we would have spent £220 million. What will you give the transfer rating? You'd have given me a 9.5. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right, mate. It's a. I think the only thing that holds it back from being anything more than that would be if they'd have gone out and bought an out-and-out 30-40 million pound striker and stuff, which is never going to happen.
The thing is with that though, Dave, apart from Bournemouth, we are the worst team for creating out-and-out chances in this division. If we're not creating chances, it don't matter if you got Lionel Messi playing up front. You ain't going to score no goals.
Absolutely. Well, this is where I hope Sarabia is going to come in. Craig, you were going to say something there.
Yeah. Well, two things. I told you after 4 games that we were, if we didn't change something major, we'd be in a relegation battle. And I had all the happy clappers. He's talking out his pants. And the reason for that, and you all alluded to it, and that's why I love this window. The manager has highlighted what's been going wrong with us for the last year and a half. We lack any pace whatsoever and moving the ball from midfield up to forwards. That's the first thing. And me and you have talked about it on your show that many times. I've tried to think of different things to say, but how can you stop saying what is absolutely clear? So our movement of the ball at pace from midfield to the forwards has been awful. It's pedestrian. And the second thing is our movement of our forwards. There's been no interchange of positions within the forwards, so they're easy to mark. So we're not creating chances, and the forwards are not creating chances for themselves because their movement's poor. And the only guy we've got with any decent movement up to the transfer window was Bonanza. He's the only guy that can create chances for himself.
Well, he scored 5 out of our 12 Premier League goals, hasn't he?
So when we talk about we're surprised to be in a relegation battle, why are we? We're the worst scorers for nearly 2 seasons now in the league. If you don't score goals, eventually you're going to start to concede goals, and you're going to put yourself under pressure. I love the fact that he spotted where we're weak, where we've needed better players who can move the ball quicker. Lamina is long overdue. We've been talking about the fact we haven't got a nasty player in our team. He can put his foot in. He's a big lad, and Hodge does the same. But he hasn't got Lamina's stature. We've got Nunes, who the speed of that guy is just off the planet.
And the way he creates space as well.
Absolutely. And if you notice, since he's been in the side, Nevers is sitting deeper and deeper and deeper as a protection for the back four. So I think his signings are great because he's realised where we're incredibly weak. He's realised what we need to survive. And we will survive. There's no way this quality of player is going to come to a club that's going to get relegated. No way on this earth. And Sutty's right. With Bruno in charge, you wouldn't have seen any of these players. As nice as that guy was, he was clueless at this level. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he hasn't got the same stature as
Dave, and he hasn't got the pedigree either, though. So there was nothing in his history that was telling me that he was going to do anything. Absolutely. So I am very, very hopeful now that with a top-class manager, and he is top-class, the players that he's brought in, which would be the type of player that I'd want to see for the type of play that we want to see at Wolves. And we're going to see the last 15 games. I think football again that we saw two years ago under Nuno. Really exciting stuff, fast paced, moving in. And when we lose the ball, we're going to start fouling players and breaking the play up, which all the great teams do.
Absolutely, mate. You make some really great points there, to be fair. And I'm kind of thinking if we do stay up, and I think we will stay up this year, I think obviously there's going to be a bit of an evolution, continuing evolution over the summer window. But I think it's exciting times for next year on where the team can progress to, because once you've got then that pre-season and another window, I think we'll really start to see the best. Now, I just want to come on to the atmosphere again, because it's a hot topic at the moment, and it's worth asking different fans on their opinion about the atmosphere. And I'm going to return back to Sutty. The questions, obviously, you know, that it's been a bit flat lately, and, you know, it's been talking about what can be done to improve the atmosphere. We've talked about one of the things that's come out of it, Wolves don't really have a standalone anthem of their own, like when the Forest and Leeds and lots of, we got Hi-O Silver Lining, but they literally sing Hi-O Silver Lining and then Hi-O Wolverhampton, and Villa sing it, Sheffield Wednesday sing it. They've been doing that for ages, about having an anthem for Wolves. And if we were to have one, what would it be for the fans to be able to properly sing along to, and then stop the thing and continue to create that raucous atmosphere as they come out before the game and at half time? And also the other question is, would you bin the goal music, or do you like it?
That to me,
yeah,
that goal music gotta go. It is awful. Do you know we're the laughing stock of this league with that goal music? They laugh at us, Dave. It's that bad. You don't celebrate properly, do you? It's just I mean, it's crap.
I'm kind of exactly the same on the goal music personally. I think it was a bit of fun after the Europa League thing. I get that, but that was then. It should have been. I'm not. I like the atmosphere of the fans celebrating.
Yeah, you want to hear fans celebrate. Do you know what I do before a game, Dave? Do you know you've been to? Did you go to Besiktas away?
Yes, of course. That was when Bolly scored in the last minute.
Do you remember? Do you know how they get their crowd all G'd up? They get the bloke in the middle.
Oh yeah, they have the guy that turns around.
Have the bloke in the middle 20 minutes before, and he goes up to each stand, and they go mental, absolutely mental. And he goes around each stand, and in the end, it's just a cauldron of all stands cheering and shouting together. It is crazy. And the only place I've ever seen it other than that was at the World Cup in Qatar two months ago. It was nuts, mate. These like South American supporters, the Moroccans were nuts, mate. Absolutely crazy. And I've never ever had experienced football like it for atmosphere. It was nuts. There weren't no there was a bit of music beginning, but once they started and they got each other G'd up, they never stopped for 90 minutes. And that's what we've got to have. Molineux's become dead, mate. It's just, there's no atmosphere there. I think that's a lot to do with what we've been watching. It works both ways.
Malaise that's set in with like no excitement, no goals, same old.
It works both ways
over months.
So just quickly going back to what you were discussing with Craig about the start of the football, and how we get to the edge of the penalty area, don't we? And it stops. And then we have about 20 passes backwards and forwards across the box. And then it goes back and then it breaks down. Now I'm going to take you back to about 4 years ago. We played Leicester at home. We beat them 4-3. Oh. Jota scored hat-trick. Remember the last goal of the hat-trick? 5 passes, 92nd minute. 5 passes. Neves threads a ball through onto Jimenez. It just dissects the centre half. 1 pass, bang, in the goal. Yeah. Now we go on about movement of centre forwards. You didn't need a lot of movement then in that style of football because you just had to hit the ground running hard, get on the end of the ball, and you had that much room because you hit them that quick, and it was exciting. But we've gone to now start playing as a possession-based side, which is it's going to take some time to get used to. But obviously, we're all sat there in the ground waiting for things to happen, and when it don't, you can hear it, can't you? Oh, just big groans, and it's pretty boring, to be honest. There's times when we've gone to the game and thought, are we going to get entertained today? I'm not bothered about fireworks before a match, mate. I want to hear noise. I want to hear passion in there again, and we haven't heard it for 18 months or so, have we?
No,
Really?
I think it has been good. I mean, there was nothing like the atmosphere on that quarter-final against United. That was just off the
It's brilliant.
That game was just, I'll still watch that match vlog back now. The atmosphere, the build-up, the excitement, the fans, everything was literally as good as it could be. The stuff that the club did as well with the gold flags, everything was spot on. And I think we were okay. I think the pandemic has again had a bit of thing. I think VAR as well has had an impact on.
But do you not think
that.
there's fractions within the club now, and it's got to all be rebuilt again? And I think, to be honest, Dave, with the amount of money that the board have spent, they've got rid of Scott Sellers. And I'm not just blaming Scott Sellers, and I'm not just blaming Bruno Lage, I'm not just blaming Jeff Shee. These people employed Bruno Lage, so they had to take some of the blame for doing that, right? It's not all down to Bruno Lage in my eyes. Okay, he caused himself problems in the end by peeing players off and what have you. But it's about building these bridges again between fan base, players and board. And I think when you build all those bridges again and everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet, I think you'll see the good atmosphere return. But it was so fractioned when we were seeing the likes of Scott Sellers sat on it with his little diagram board in the director's box telling Bruno Lage what to do and Steve Davis what to do. You know yourself, all of us know on here that we are a very fickle fan base. And we will air our views whether they like it or not. So it's about building bridges and getting this stadium rocking again. And without saying horrible, we've got to make it so that not only away clubs fear playing on that pitch at Molineux, but to a certain degree, their fans, when they come, think, oh, it's a bit, it's a very nice place to go, that.
Bit like, Leeds is a little bit like that. Just before you go on, I just want to say a big welcome to Max Hastings, who's just become our latest YouTube member. We've got Craig and Keith. They're on the screen right now. They're actually also members and loads in the thing. So I will put on the members community tab after this for you, Max, and anyone else that becomes a member, a link to the members Discord group, because they chat every day about everything, and you can get on there and introduce yourself. But thanks for supporting the channel. That's amazing. Sutty, you make some really, really good points there. I love the way you put things across from your point of view as well. You put it across in such a good way. I'm going to go to Nathan now, again on the same sort of point, talking about what Sutty's obviously said, and about the atmosphere, and it's a hot topic at the moment. It's talked about what they can do, about like what an anthem could be. I mean, personally, from my point of view, if we were going to do an anthem, it has to be something that's about us. There's some people that like the Liquidator, but I personally think that's going backwards and singing about the Stripey lot down the road, and we need to be singing about us and not saying F off to someone else, especially it's going back. But I don't know are you on board with the Liquidator thing, or would you go with something else that you can help build that atmosphere before the game and that everyone can get involved in? A bit like, I don't know if you went to Forest Away, they had Muller Kintyre and then they stopped the music and it was raucous, it was so loud, and something like that.
Sutty probably hit the nail on the head. Again, Sutty, I don't want to keep blowing smoke up your backside, but there is no magic formula. The magic has to come back with the style of play. That's where we're like that Man United game is for me is the I've been going for I don't know 35 years, whatever it is now. It's the best atmosphere I think I can ever remember at Molineux, the loudest, the most raucous atmosphere, and that's on the back of us playing good, stylish, attacking football. Sutty mentioned that attack. You know, we all remember that attack when we won 4-3 at Leicester. That goal by Jimenez, that pass by Neves, and it was bang 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 up the pitch. I was only talking about this the other day with when we had Traore and Jota and Jimenez in full flight, the speed of our attacks and our counter attacks was just an absolute joy to watch. And we've lost that with the slow attack we do now. We get to the halfway line, then we pass it back, and then we're across the pitch. It is dull, and until we change that style of play, now Lopetegui is a bit of a pragmatist, we know, but he's now got at his disposable such an armory of talent, and you think how can we not play some attractive football with what we've got in this team now? And until that comes back, I think you can chuck every anthem you like at it. Bin the song music at the goal music. That for me, that's garbage. I don't know why. As Sutty said, we're a laughing stock. To play music after every goal, it's an absolute embarrassment. You've got to get rid of that. Now again, we're all a similar age on this panel. White middle-aged men who probably think that's a bit dull. The kids might think differently. Somebody on here was just slating me for saying the grime music was awful. That's my opinion because I probably come from a different generation. But I just think until we get the football right on the pitch, you can forget any anthem. That has to come later. Let's get the football right first, and then think about that at another date, I think.
Craig, on that subject.
Yeah, I mean the guys have been absolutely spot on. What concerns me over the last 6 to 9 months, and Sutty, he's absolutely right. There's loyalty, and there's fans that think you should sing and be raucous no matter what. But if you're watching 25 passes that don't go past the halfway line, and then nothing happens at all at the end, and you see that game after game after game after game, it's very difficult not to sit there, isn't it, and say, bloody hell, here we go again. The mentality of elite sportsmen and elite performers is something I've been wanting to talk to you about for ages. You'll be aware that I was very fortunate to play music at a very high level, an elite level, and people cannot underestimate your mentality when you're doing that. If you're sitting backstage in the Royal Albert Hall and you've got to go and perform on a piece that you've rehearsed for 3.5, 4 weeks, and you've got 15 minutes and you've got one chance, really, really difficult stuff, your mentality has to be bang on. And I think that Bruno lost the right mentality of Wolves, so that the team lost their way. The fans have sort of picked that up, and they've just gone exactly the same way. There's no expectation at Wolves at the moment for goals. And you talk about music, well, it's a no issue, isn't it? Because the goal music's played so little that it's a nonsense, isn't it? You're talking about when we lift a trophy. Well, when we scored a bloody goal, then I'll start moaning about the music when it's playing week after week after week. But this is about rebuilding a club that unfortunately has been dismantled over a very short time again. Lopetegui is doing that, in my opinion. His signings are right. The fans are starting to get on board. You want a song? Wolves fans, and Sutty's absolutely right. We've been in We've been on that North Bank, on the South Bank, in the John Island, as it was in the Steve Ball. We are the biggest rough arses in the world at Wolves, right? You can try and nice it up all you like. They like swearing. They like abusing their local team, whether you like it or not. That gets them going. So you've got to pick a song where they can abuse their most hated local clubs. I was born under a Wonder scarf. I'd be playing that every time because those, lyrics. Do you know where hell is? Hell is at West Brom. Heaven is the Molineux, and that's where I'm.
No, I don't mind Wondering Scarf, Wondering thing, because that's like, it's got more lyrics. I'm just not really into the into this. Oh, got to bring the Liquidator back, because that literally is all just literally about the thing. The Wondering Scarf's got more about wolves in it than stuff like that. Listen, hold that thought, because we're going to have a very special guest that's joining us now. And it'll be interesting to actually hear his perspective on both the transfer window and also from a player's point of view. What he feels about the atmosphere and all that sort of stuff. So I'm delighted to welcome back friend of the show, friend of the channel, Mr. Mel Eaves. Are you all right, mate?
How are you, Mel?
Are you there, Mel?
Hello, Dave. Yes. And
you kind of froze.
My bigger, but
there you are.
Responsive shit.
Oh, his internet's not great. Oh no, there he is. He's moving around now. You're right, Mel.
I'm marvellous, thanks. Tinternet,
They're the Tinternet, yeah.
Oh. Can you hear me? Can you hear me through Tinternet? Can you?
Mate, we can hear you. I'm going to bring on as well, because we've got another special guest that's joining us. You'll know him as well, I would imagine, because you do a lot of stuff for WM. We've got from WM joining us from the studio, I think. Just finished your show. Are you in the WM studio, Steve?
What gave it away?
The big mic with WM on it.
We've literally just because Blues we had Blues against Blackburn FA Cup 4th round replay, and it went to extra time. So we've literally just finished. Unfortunately, Blues lost 1-0, and it wasn't the best of games. But while it was going on, I have been keeping up with a bit of deadline day, and Andreas Sondergaard's as exciting as it's got, isn't it, from a Wolves perspective?
Yeah, they've cancelled his contract. We've been having a great show. We've got Wolves fans, Craig, Nathan, and Sooty. We've just been joined by Wolves legend. Also does stuff for on the commentary for WM from time to time as well, Mel. And then obviously I've seen you think. Now, Mel, we're going to come to you first, and then we're going to get your thoughts on things, Steve, as well, because you'd probably be able to, because you've had the show and you did the footy show and all that sort of stuff as well, probably be able to have an interesting insight on that. Mel, the two things that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
The first one is your opinions on and I'm going to come to you in a minute, Steve, as well, and then we're going to ask questions. Is your thoughts on this transfer window, your standout signing, and your rating out of 10?
I'm really boring, because if I told you that I don't take much notice of players till I see them, because a lot of the players nowadays, I have a clue who they are. They're bringing in these people, and unless you're actually on 24/7 watching all the foreign games, I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue who the managers are. I'm boring. I'm just an old-fashioned fart. So you've got a situation where until I see them, I can't really comment that much. All I can say is that what I've seen of the team since Lopetegui came, I'm very impressed with. I'm very impressed with the way that the players are buying into what he's pushing, and the way that he wants to play. They seem to be all on board. There seems to be a good team spirit. He's got the fans on board. He gets excited on the sideline. Now that's not the be all and end all, but you can see the thing is that if the fans see that he's one of them, that he wants the best for the team, and he's willing to not just stand there and say, "Oh well, that's the way it is." He's willing to contest decisions, some awful decisions that we've had, the same, and he feels the same as the fans. Then that's a buy-in for me. So he's ticking all the boxes. He gets probably 9 out of 10 for me, the way that he started off and the enthusiasm and the buy-in and the feel-good factor from the fans. That's the way that I feel. Some of the football we're playing is pretty good. Defensively, we're okay. I think, Collins... he's getting there. He's getting better. I think that the midfield needed a little bit of a pep up. But the big thing for me is goal scorers. Have we got a goal scorer in? You tell me. In the transfer window, we seem to have got attacking midfielders. We've got loads. We've got a few of them, but do they score enough goals? We need goal scorers. That's the big thing that you need.
Arabia comes in with a big record. I mean, he came on against City in the second half, and within like 5 or 10 minutes, he'd already made a difference. I know they went down the other end, and we conceded the penalty, and then Sarr gave the ball away, and it was game over. But I think he's one that's going to create. Obviously, Podence. He likes to have a shot, and he scored 5 out of thing. I think they see Jimenez is coming back to more like his fitness. I think Costa's probably gone down the pecking order a lot, and then Kuna, I also think they see him as more of a number 9 as well.
Well, you just need goal scorers. You look at teams that do stuff now. I can look at teams when I played, when we would do. There were some barren spells, but when we were doing well, you'd got goals from all different positions, not just one person, such as King John Richards or a Steve Bull or whatever. You'd got goals throughout the team, and we just don't have enough goals. Simple as that. And that's the only worry. I think the overall quality of play. The way that we can keep the ball, the way that we really front up to some of the top teams as well. But it's just that nagging thing that we can outplay teams and still lose sometimes because they've got goal scorers in the team we haven't.
Well, that's a good point. Hold that thought, because Wolves have scored 12 goals this season so far in the Premier League. Podence has got 5, the lowest ever that Wolves have ever scored in a season. I think something like 23. We're going to come back to you, and obviously got the rest of the guys will be able to ask questions as well to Mel and to Steve. Steve, thanks ever so much, first off, because I know you've had a 6 till 10 shift covering an awful lot over there in the studio today. And you said, obviously, you're probably coming on a bit later than you probably anticipated with it going to extra time and the penalties and all of that sort of jazz with Birmingham. Did they go out? What was it on penalties then?
No, lost 1-0. Austin
1-0.
just the own goal in the end. Yeah,
in extra time.
Yes, one of those frustrating. It's even more frustrating, isn't it, when you've sat through 90 minutes of 0-0 and then a goal comes early into extra time. So that's what happened to them. But no, it's all good. Sitting here chatting about football, it's not hard work, is it?
And you've done that, and then you're straight on here to chat more about football. It's fantastic. But obviously you've been through the WM channels and stuff like that. You hear the fans obviously calling in to the show and stuff like that. Almost on a daily basis. And obviously the transfer window, summer or January. The January one is normally a little bit of a quieter one, but not this year. What's your take on the business Wolves have done?
Well, I think it's encouraging, like you said, because we're normally used to absolutely nothing happening in January and it being extremely quiet. But with the Cunha deal, when that's officially permanent, then that's 75 million in January that Wolves have spent.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can't really, I mean, if you think back to end of July, I mean, how much stick was Fosun getting for not backing the team? And then they broke the transfer record a couple of times last summer. Now they've clearly backed Lopetegui this time around. I think there is right concern, and it was something that popped up with a couple of Wolves fans on the phone about the lack of the number 9. That is the sort of sticks out like a sore thumb, certainly. And there's a lot of midfielders. We've certainly packed out the midfield, but I suppose if you think about it, thinking ahead into the summer, Adama Traore is probably going to go, so that's one sort of wide forward going. Moutinho, I can't see him staying any. I imagine he's probably
unless he stays on in more of a coaching role, we could maybe find a position for him there, because I think that's his natural progression to get into that sort of thing with Moutinho.
Perhaps. I mean, I certainly wouldn't knock that, but I just wonder whether he wants to, deservedly swan off back to Portugal and enjoy himself in the sunshine and sipping some red wine and that sort of thing. We'll see about that. But in terms of, I agree with what you said, Dave, about Pablo Sarabia. I was commentating on the Man City game, and I know and I did say this on the phone, and I know it sounds a bit silly because of the result, but I thought there were some bright things from him, and Wolves did come alive when they had very brief chances, but they did come alive a little bit. I mean, not just facially, but kind of he had that spark like Diogo Jota. I'm not going to say he's the same player in terms of deceptively strong, but in terms of that sort of skill, he looks a bit like that. And the other thing I would say in terms of the other signings, I mean, Lamina looks solid, gets stuck in, nice bit of bite, and with Traore, the other Traore. Out exactly. I wanted to say Bertrand because I was talking about him earlier. He's gone back to Villa. That's the one that I had in my head. So because he's out injured at the moment, I think Lamina's a good spot. Craig Dawson, absolutely solid. That was vital, getting a third centre back with Premier League experience as well. And the other ones, João Gomez, like Mel said, in terms of not really knowing, I'll be honest as well. I don't know much about him.
He's a legend, and he's already a cult hero, and he's not even kicked a ball yet.
I mean, what I will say, I'm not sure. Hang on, can I? Hang on, I don't know if this system is that. I don't know if it's. Can you hear that?
I can't hear anything.
I don't know if you could hear that. That's a shame. I pulled off the João Gomez. That was a brilliant transfer reveal video by the Wolves Twitter, wasn't it?
The media team of Wolves have stepped up like in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, the Diego Costa one was brilliant with the thing, and then the Gomez one was just fantastic.
They knocked it out of the park. But what I would say about the João Gomez deal, and speaking to Matheus Cunha, I did an interview with him after the Man City game. The thing that strikes me with those two, and that's really important, is they want to be here. They want to be at Molineux. They want to play for Wolves. How much length did João Gomez go to make sure that he didn't end up at Lyon and he came to Wolves? That's fantastic. That is brilliant. And then Matheus Cunha, like I said, from speaking to him after the game, he was talking to me about the Premier League's a lot tougher than he expected, but he just said about he feels settled here. He's getting on with his teammates already, and he had a smile on his face and kept apologising for his poor. He said it was, "Oh, I'm sorry, my English is really bad. I'm really sorry," but it was
very good.
It was superb. I certainly couldn't do a fluent interview in Portuguese. He was very, very good. Smile on his face, looks happy. And kind of that's the bare minimum that you want. You want the players to be there. You want the players to be happy. Of course, we now want goals. That's the ultimate thing we want from him. And I'm guessing that Wolves do have faith that he can become a number 9 and bang those goals in. Either that or they still hope that Raul Jimenez has got something.
Well, Jimenez is more back onto the thing, and guys, like we've got like well over 200 watching live on the channel, which is great. And if you do want to ask questions of the guys, just all you have to do is hit the subscribe button, and you can be able to put your questions in the chat. Mel, and obviously Craig, Nathan, and Sutty, you'll be able to ask questions of Mel or Steve as well in a second. But one of the things that I want to come back onto, a couple of things, Mel. When you were unveiled as a Wolves fan, how did the media team unveil you back in the day? And in terms of the Molineux atmosphere, and Steve, I'll be asking you about this as well from the press box side of things. How do you feel about the atmosphere at the moment, and what because people, it's been talked about a lot that it's very, very flat. And what do you think the cause is of that? And is there anything that can be done to sort it out from your point of view? There's a lot talked about the music, what they come out to, and stuff like that. And what was the music to when you were playing, if any?
Can't remember if there was any music at all. As for my kind of announcement in the press and everything, I don't think there was any. I can't remember any.
There wasn't back in the day, was there?
They didn't do it then. You just come out and you just played.
It's like, making his debut today
There wasn't any bells and whistles and fanfare and all that gubbins then. You just go out. You just went out and played. Because the thing is, you didn't have social media then. You hadn't got these things. It was they'd write something at the back of the Express and Star. Occasionally, especially if you played over Christmas, there might be a headline Christmas Eves or New Year's Eves or something like that. But that was about it. And then nothing else really. It was fairly bland compared to what they have today. But the thing is that it's a massive, massive global brand and business now, the Premier League. Compared to Division 1 that I played in, you've got it's a worldwide brand, the Premier League. And I think people have to get their head around it. That a few people in England watching the old Division 1. Now you've got literally billions watching the Premier League as a global brand. That's why the players get paid a little bit more than we did.
Chris Humphrey said when Mel Eaves started the Wolves, he found out by pigeon. That's great, isn't it? That.
But now, look, things evolve.
That was before Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Things evolve. I think the players are brilliant. I've met a few of the players: Max Kilman, Connor Cody, Joe Martino. They've all got their feet on the ground, smashing chaps. Exactly the same as in any era. Good luck to them about the financial side of it. But as long as they conduct themselves well, which those three that I've had the pleasure of meeting, and they do. But the vast majority are like that. I'm sure that Steve will back that up. He gets to meet interview a few of the players, and players just are the same. That sometimes, and Steve will probably back this up as well, they're protected a lot more than we people could just walk into the training ground and watch us train. Now it's like Fort Knox at any place you go to. Then you've also got to speak to the players or whatever. You just used to get, press would just ring you up straight away. They didn't have to go through a press officer and all this
back
business.
in the day, didn't I think some of the players travel to the I think it might have been the 50s or 60s. I'm not sure. I'm sure I've heard.
Well, you're talking about the 50s. They'd come on
to the match.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's the famous tales about Billy Wright coming in on the bus with the supporters.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that would happen nowadays. I've just got a feeling it wouldn't anyway. So, yeah, but things evolve. Things evolve, and they've got there's a big entourage around the players now, because there's that much money involved that it makes sense to have the best. You've got to then look at fine tuning and looking for an edge in absolutely everything you do, and getting the, you know, you look at Man City and whatever that were first on it, really, along with your Chelsea's, then Arsenal, with Wenger bringing in a lot of modern, up-to-date ways of doing things and bringing in a lot of, you know, all of the different specialists around preparing the players to optimum performance. Because if you've got massive money involved in there to pay to get the specialists in to really make them, we just had the manager, the coach, a physio, and the kit man. That was it. Now they've got 30, 40, 50 people around them that they can call on all the time. But it's a great advancement, and we just have to take it on board. But the players, I feel, are the same, but they probably get frustrated that they're not as close to the players because there's so many people protecting them.
Hold that thought, Mel. And Craig, Nathan, and Sutty, I want you to think of a question for either Mel or Steve. But Steve, commenting obviously on the Wolves and stuff like that, and talking about things. What's your take from your perspective and the media? We saw Johnny Phillips wrote that article in the Express Star. He talked about it on our recent podcast. That we were talking about it, and it's created quite a bit of debate. What's your take on the atmosphere recently at Molineux, and what's missing, what's causing it, what can be done to improve it? Where do you sit on it?
I think it's a combination of factors of primarily not as many songs from the, you know, we had all the Nuno songs, the Cody song, and obviously can't sing that anymore. And I think ultimately this is the cliche that you'll hear, but it goes hand in hand. A good atmosphere needs a good performance, lots of chances, lots of goals. At the end of the day, like, I mean, hasn't the South Bank only seen one Premier League goal in like a year or something ridiculous? Something like that.
Something like that. The Wolves, I don't think the Wolves' actual number 9 has scored or something in front of the South Bank for 12 months.
Raul Jimenez's last Premier League goal was the 4-0 against Watford last March.
That's it, last March. Yeah, it's a long.
You can tell I researched that for the Man City game.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think. I mean, that's actually right. So you basically think it's the general malaise over the last sort of 10 months that's sort of taken it away with that expectation?
I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about I don't want to go back over old ground that we all know about, but just the whole riding the wave of that Nuno era and just how good it was, and it was how good it was from the start, and how, you know, Nuno did the punching in the air, getting the crowd going at the end of the game when we'd win a game. It was right from the off. The atmosphere was red hot, and obviously the wins just kept on coming. And then even when we went into the Premier League, those moments, those games, the drama of, you know, beating Man City, the Manchester United game in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, I maintain that's the loudest I've ever heard Molineux. It literally shook when Diogo Jota's goal went in. I was in the upper tier. As I wasn't commentating on that, I was a fan in the upper tier in the Billy Wright, and the ground shook. And I don't think we've been anywhere near that. And like I said, I think it's because the football has tailed off, and including under the tail end of the Nuno era, the football tailed off. And like you said, the word malaise. And under Bruno, it wasn't the same as Nuno. And I think it was never going to be either. I think there were always, you know, it's a bit like when Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United, the next manager after him, David Moyes, was always onto a loser. It was never going to go well. I'd never thought it was going to go well for Bruno Lage. Now with Lopetegui, he seems like he's got a bit of that passion, Nuno-esque passion. He's a different bloke, but he's got that Nuno-esque passion back. So I think it's slowly coming back, and I think it's a really good thing. I know that Kieran Newey's talked about it a lot on Twitter. He's one of the fans who's talked about the atmosphere, and I think it's a good thing that we are speaking about it and saying, right, let's try and change it and boost it.
I'll tell you where this has all come from. because basically Johnny Phillips wrote an article in the Express and Star last week. I am in the match day experience group, so I'm on the WhatsApp group and stuff. Russell put the article that Johnny had wrote in the match day experience group. We've talked about flags. We've talked about what Newcastle do. It's been talked about like the singing sections, the anthems, lots of things. And obviously Kieran's on that match day experience group. So he sort of nominated himself that he'd put something on social. And that started a conversation that's been going. And obviously it's been talked about on various podcasts, and it's the sort of the hot topic. So this sort of like discussion around the thing. But I kind of I'm on the thing. Yeah, I think things have fell off a little bit and they need to do something to sort of help. But I lean more towards it's not just the fans yet have got to get behind the team when they're struggling. I think the fans have tried to do that on occasions, but when this malaise has been going on for so long and like people are getting tense around, I think that sort of comes across over, and it's just been knocked out of them over time. And if we start, we saw a crunching tackle from, was it Lamina, and they'd come in, and then the crowd got up with something like that. It gets them going, and that's what it's got to work. It's like a two-way street, isn't it? We start to see attacking football and goals, then the crowd get on their feet and the excitement's back, and there's a roar.
I don't know if this has been discussed, but do you think they're trying to be a bit too clever with the atmosphere in terms of, because the pre-match music, I know with the I mean, maybe I'm not a fan of like the house and dance music and all that. Are they trying to be too clever with the light shows, and they'd actually be better off kind of simpler? I don't mind the flames. The flames are kind of cool and different. When I took my son, who people know from Twitter, has got autism and speech and language difficulties. He was in the box, and that was one of the biggest things he loved, the flames. So some people like it, but are they trying to be too clever with the light shows, the dancing? Because you can't really chant along to dance music, can you? Do they need to simplify it?
I think you make a really good point. Nathan's made that point earlier, and of course you're going to have some people that think it's really cool. We're all of a certain, as Nathan said, we're all of a certain age, so we kind of like that. And I think the light show personally is great when they do it, but it's not something that they do all the time. A big night match or something, an important thing, it helps build the atmosphere, and I think you've got a point in terms of like the dance music and stuff. The flames are great. I think they look great. I think they're good. I think they're, they're trying to create a bit more of a spectacle type of thing to build that atmosphere. But ultimately, there's nothing better than getting behind a good old song and getting the atmosphere going and the fans thinking and chanting like what Sutty said and Craig said, and it's self-generating. But it comes again on the pitch. But it was a little bit flat against Liverpool, and you'd have thought after the injustice again in the FA Cup where we should have gone through, it would have been a bit more raucous. But I thought it started kind of okay at Liverpool for the first, then that goal went in and it was kind of like knocked out of us. So you make a really, really good point, and this debate will carry on. So we're going to go to Nathan first. Who have we lost? Then someone's just dropped off.
You've lost Sutty.
Oh, we're just gonna. Has he lost internet connection or something? Right, Nathan. You must have lost his internet. Nathan first. If you've got a question for Mel or Steve, because the window's has just shutted, so we've got about 15 minutes to go before the show closes.
Well, slightly left field first, Steve. I've spoken. I think we've had a little chat on Twitter before. I've got a nephew who's non-verbal autism, so he kind of shares your struggles. And I know, hats off to my sister, because it's incredible. It's wonderful when he comes to life and you see little sparks, but it is such a tough journey. So hats off, and I hope I love seeing your journey. And is it Eddie?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate
just that yeah, it's just wonderful to see, because she takes a lot of comfort as well from that. So just on the phoning, so I do the phoning with Daz every week. I've been doing it for a few seasons now. just wanted to know: is Eddie, the West Brom fan, really a 20-year-old doing some kind of old man cantankerous impression? Because he, well, firstly, he seems to support every local team in the area. He's always at Cannock or Dudley or Walsall, but I can't believe that he is as cantankerous as he comes across.
I've only met him in person once at a Tividale game, so he does go to all of these non-league games he talks about. So to back that up, but yeah, I mean, he's a character, isn't he?
And
he's a great character. So yeah, God love him. And when I met him in person, he was actually calmer than he is over the phone. So yeah, he was actually more. Yeah, he was actually more calmer. But thank you for that. Thank you for your comments about Eddie. It's much appreciated. And yeah, because I'm conscious sometimes that I tweet about it too much. So it's nice that when people say, "Oh, it's good to see it. It helps."
No, that's really nice. That is. It's good that comes out of these sort of shows as well. These sort of things we can, it's important. Craig, it's your turn. Question for Steve or Mel. Direct it at whoever.
Hi, I'm Mel. It's been a long time since we've spoken. You'll remember me from Mike Reynolds and Kevin Drew. Kevin's obviously gone through a tough time of late, but I'm part of your Facebook group. So first of all, a memory, Mel, to make you smile. Swindon Town, 1981, the League Cup semi-final. And we went down to Swindon to watch Wolves beat 2-1. And standing on the south bank for the return leg, and you knocked that a third in that we were all praying for that sent us to Wembley. How did that feel for you? Because I mean, we were all praying, and it was a really tight game, wasn't it? From a side that were a league below us, weren't they? Swindon below us.
I think they were in the Premier League they were actually in Div 1. I think they were really going well at the time, Swindon.
Yeah.
And they had a lad named Moyes, I think, was playing for them and scored goals, and so they had some good players. And we lost 2-1 in the.
That's right.
In the first leg of the semi-final away at Swindon, and I didn't play, but I played in the second game at home, and it was 1-1 with about 10 minutes to go, and the ball popped up as we're looking at the south bank, the left-hand side, right on the corner of the box. And I'd got my back to goal, and it just popped up. And with no thought whatsoever, I just did an overhead kick. And when I landed on the floor, I hadn't got a clue where the ball went, by the way. I knew roughly where the goals were, so I was aiming at the goals, obviously, but I hadn't got a clue where it had gone. I just instinctively just bumped. And it flew in the far corner, didn't it?
I remember that.
But I didn't know. I didn't see it. When it left my foot, I just hit the floor and didn't see where it had gone. And the first thing I'd got, I think it was Steve Daly or somebody was on top of me. I'm thinking, what the flip's happening? Is this gone in? Oh, that was great. But somebody said to me afterwards, they said, oh, that was lucky. Yeah. And it was a bit like the famous quote by Lee Trevino when I think he'd won the Masters or the Open or something in America. And he chipped in from a bunker and you couldn't even see the green, let alone the hole. But he chipped in, it gone straight in. And he says that was lucky on the 16th when you just chipped in, because he'd won it by a hole and by one shot, And they said, "Oh, that was really lucky on there." And he goes, "Well, the more you practice, the luckier you get."
Yeah.
And he said, "That was and what was the idea of taking the shot in the first place? Is to get it in the hole." Now, granted that the vast majority of times that I would have done that overhead kick, it wouldn't have gone in. But on that occasion, somebody was looking up there thinking, yeah, we want Wolves to go through, and it happened. But I keep saying, yes, I didn't pick the corner of the net where I was going to put it, but sometimes you just do things instinctively.
It's a great
answer. That's the truth. You'll get that sometimes, because sometimes it's actually better that you don't have time to think, because that's when you miss them.
Yeah.
It's when you overthink it. I just instinctively just went bang. And
I think we're going to have to watch this on, but it's bound to be on YouTube somewhere. I'm going to have to look out for that.
Yeah, somebody showed it me the other day, and I just said, "All right, yeah."
Well, at least you could watch it back and watch where it goes, so you could actually finally see it go in the net properly.
Dave, can I ask? I'm aware of all your promotional stuff, Mel, and your motivational and inspirational.
What, you mean this stuff? That I'm a performance specialist.
That's the one. So what would you be saying in the dressing room to the Wolves team now? I know that you don't know the players, but motivation and inspiration.
It's all about they've got to have total belief that when they go forward, I think they're overthinking. They're trying to score the perfect goal most of the time. And they're trying to keep the ball. In other words, when I scored that overhead kick against Swindon, I would have probably been told in training, if that hadn't gone in, oh, that was lucky. No, you've got to shield it, get it down and keep the ball. Keep it, and then bring it back round the other side until we get the perfect opportunity to put it in there for somebody. But when we get the perfect opportunity to knock it in the box, nobody gets in the box to get on the end of it, or we don't get enough players to get on the end of it. But so therefore, it's a case of we have to be braver, in my opinion, to get people that are wanting to make that extra man in the box. That if it doesn't come in, they're then willing to turn round and run 50 yards back. So you're going to run 50 yards flat out forward. But if it doesn't come, you're willing to get, in the case that it does come and you could win the game for your team, so you're running another 100 yards. And people might not see that you're doing that, but sometimes there's a balance between fear. In other words, I'm frightened that if I make too many runs forward, I might get caught out because their guy might cheat. They could counterattack, and then they'd say, "Oh, you didn't. It was your man that's caused the problem." So there's always that balance between going too much gung ho and then keeping your shape, so that if the ball gets turned over, you can cope with it. But it's so you just watch, because I watch and analyze games probably differently to most people who just watch the ball. But I'm watching everywhere, especially when I'm, say, with Steve. If I'm commentating usually with Mike Taylor, or I've done it with Steve a few times as well. I'm not watching the ball all the time. I'm obviously aware where the ball is, but I'm watching everything. Who's going where? Who's doing what runs? So that I remember the first time I actually I went to a UEFA Cup game. Now, it was the Champions League game, sorry, at Old Trafford, when I think Fiorentina played Man United. And I saw Beckham and Giggs the first time I saw them live. And I was enthralled, but I just watched those two the whole of the game. They were magnificent. They tracked every run that the Fiorentina wide players made. They made every run forward that they should have done. The ground that they covered was absolutely unbelievable. And that was the key to Man United's success, because they thanklessly worked their socks off for the team and didn't, what I call, cheat at any time. They always made the runs forward. They always covered backwards. They didn't say, oh, Neville. For instance, Beckham didn't say, oh, Gary Neville will sort that out. I'm not going to make the run back and track back this time. He did it every time.
That's really interesting.
And that's the thing that you're looking at all the time. You're looking at how the team plays. Now, the vast majority of the time, Lopetegui's got them doing that. That's why we're difficult to beat. We are difficult to beat. We're a good. We compete very well. It's just that extra bit that when you see sometimes with Traore. You see, if I'm a forward and Traore gets the ball, I'm thinking, or if I'm on the other side, I'm playing left-hand side because I played two positions really mainly. I played left-hand side of in a 4-4-2. We say John Richards, Andy Gray up front, or I could play up front with first of all John, and then I played with Andy up front. So, but if the guy's got it there, I'm on the other side. I'm going to break my neck to get in that box because I know that 9 times out of 10, Traore will get some kind of delivery in. He'll get something in there, and there's goals for nothing. But sometimes when he gets it in, there's nobody there. I just can't get my head round that. And the number of times, Steve will back me up. You ask Mike Taylor, the number of times that I keep mentioning that we just don't get that extra man in the box.
I agree with you, Mel. I agree.
What I will say is what Mel's just talked about there. That's why I love doing the job that I do because, I'm just there to sort of. My job is painting a picture for radio and telling everyone where the ball is. But I get the privilege of having a former player next to me who can tell me why did that player just do what they just did, and genuinely, it offers such a completely different insight. And the way that I watch football now is completely different because of commentating alongside people like Mel.
Right. Just going to come in there with Sooty so you can ask your question. And then before we finish, we're going to do the close it up in the next 10 minutes. We're going to get everyone to answer a question off Spin the Wheel and a random question. Sooty, what's your question?
It couldn't have come better, actually, for me, this conversation that you've just had, because mine's more football related as opposed to past things. Do you think the board's lack of signing a number 9 is due to the fact that obviously next season we'll have Kalajdzic fit, and he's very much like, and
Silver will be back as well.
Don't think I'm saying he's like Haaland at Man City, but he's the same build, he's the same kind of player, he's going to hit the box. Do you think that they've got this in the back of their mind where they've got a lot of ball players now and they'll be looking to pick him out at every opportunity when he's fit in the box?
Good question.
And that's why they haven't actually gone out and bought an out and out number 9.
It's a very good question. I think because there is talk, isn't it, that there's an outside chance that he might be fit before the end of the season, but they might not put him in the 25-man squad. I think I've read that today, because obviously after the January window, they've got to submit a new 25-man squad, but that's something for this season. It's a really interesting point, because I suppose if you imagine having that option, and that's why they kind of brought him, imagine him knocking down balls for Podence and for Cunha to the right of him, perhaps, if that's the option.
He's not going to be doing what Jimenez does now, where he's coming up all over the pitch looking for the ball. He's going to play straight down the middle. Yeah,
I don't. The only thing I would say is that I don't think he was ever signed to be the guy and be the number 9. I kind of thought he was signed as a extra option last 20 minutes, which is what I think Adama Traore should have been for the last season and a half. Don't start him. He was useless at Man City in that first half, and he's been useless on a lot of occasions. Don't start him. Bring him on for the last 20 minutes, because they offer something different. Dave just mentioned about Fabio Silva, and I said it on the phone in earlier. So he's gone from Anderlecht to PSV, and he's working with Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
I mean, how good is that? To have Ruud van Nistelrooy now coaching you for the remaining 5 months of this season, that's absolutely super. That's great for him, and that's hopefully great for us, because I still hold out hope that there's a player still there in Fabio Silva. So maybe that is the case.
Steve, I'm hoping he's still a young lad. I think that's a really good question, and as well, because like as you say, Kalajic, Fabio Silva, they're all going to be hopefully fully fit back at the summer as well. So it's a good point you
Could I
made.
just quickly say this as well, Dave, going on quickly on from Mel's motivational speech that he just gave us. As you know, I did triathlons, and my coach used to say to me, the man that thinks he's lost will lose, and the man that thinks he can will.
That's bang on, that is.
So if you go out there saying this is a free hit this week, you'll lose.
And on that point,
we need one of those on a banner in the South Bank with the flags and everything. That's what we need.
On that point, there is no escape now. We will get Josh and Chris on in a second to finish the whole show, but we're going to be going down the spin the wheel as a question to each. We're going to go with Craig first, and then we're going to go Craig. We're going to go Nate. We're going to go Sutty. We're going to go Steve, and then we're going to go Mel in that order on the spin the wheel question. So this is a random question, and this is first of all to Craig. Craig, you can all answer this actually if you want. We'll do one for each, but this is your main question. Craig, aliens, do they exist?
Absolutely.
You're not going to say in West Brom, are you?
Mostly.
Does it? Hands up if you think aliens exist. Yeah, so that's 4-2. Right. So next,
it depends. It depends how you actually define aliens, as you say, because you can have some people say people are illegal aliens and what have you. And they're human beings, aren't they? So it depends what you define an alien as.
Outer space aliens.
But anyway, that's another question.
Next one is for Nathan. That's the primary question. We can all answer this, but Nathan, who is Wolves' all-time greatest goalkeeper?
I mean, it's we'd probably say Bert, who I met when he was with us. What an amazing player he was. But in my lifetime, I've seen no better than Matt Murray. I think Matt on his day was just an absolute world beater. And we all, I think we all know if he hadn't have picked up the injuries, he'd have gone on to incredible things. He would have represented the country for numerous times. I think he was a absolute stalwart. I think he was brilliant. Just such a pity he picked up the injuries before he barely hit 100 appearances for Wolves, which was a real shame. But yeah, the greatest in my lifetime.
Such a nice guy as well. Mel, be interesting to actually have your perspective on this as a Wolves legend.
Obviously, I had the privilege of meeting Bert Williams on many occasions, and what an absolute legend. As well as obviously the majority of the 50s legends. When I first joined the Wolves Former Players Association, which was set up after the funeral of Jimmy Mullen to get the Wolves players of his era, and I think Billy Wright said we can't stop. We don't want to just meet at funerals with the lads, can we? And then they formed the association after that. And then I, along with people like John Richards, Kenny Hibbett, Willie Carr, Phil Parks, etc., were the next batch to join the 50s lads in the Former Players Association. So, Bert has a very special place for the goalkeepers that I can remember. As does Malcolm Finlayson. But Phil Parks was the keeper when I came, and he was brilliant. Paul Bradshaw was different class, by the way. If I will tell you something about Brady, if he'd have been more professional, he would have played for England as well. But he just liked a night out a little bit too much, did Brady. But what natural ability, different class.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And guys, if you do want to get involved in the chat, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That would be appreciated. Right, next up, this one is to Sooty. But obviously, we can all chip in. We're spinning. Are we winning? Oh, it's gone into the green. I think might have had this one a little bit earlier, so I'm going to spin this one to give a different question. He really wants to do this. Oh, yeah, here we go. What is, Sooty, your favourite away day? And this will be an interesting one as well for the two media guys as well, because from that perspective. But we'll go with you first. What's your favourite away day?
Albion.
Albion away. We haven't had that in a long time.
Has to be Albion away.
Fantastic. Right, Steve and Mel, obviously from a media point of view this time, and maybe Mel, you can also put a perspective for when you were playing. But we'll go Steve first. From an away day covering the game, what's your favourite?
Are we talking just favourite ground to go to, or the actual occasion of the game, or what are you talking? Because there are different layers to that question for me.
Well, you can answer on both points if you want to.
Okay. I mean, in terms of if we just took, because I've got ones as a fan, but if we're just talking from a commentary perspective, I mean, genuinely, it was a dream come true commentating on Wolves in Europe. I got to do the 3-3 draw at Braga. There's a nightmare story about. I know fans had trouble that night, but I had a nightmare story of getting into the ground that night. I didn't get in the ground until about 20 minutes before we were due to go on air. And there's lots more to it, which I will save for another day, that story. But that was amazing. I did the game against Crusaders as well in Belfast, which was just amazing. I mean, it was literally landed on the day of the game, got a taxi to the city centre, went around the pubs and may have had 1 pint, only one. And then all the fans that were by the pub, the Europa Hotel, that was fantastic. And then the game itself, just an experience that I don't think I ever would have dreamed that I'd have been able to do. So that was fantastic. In terms of a away, I mean, Man City was pretty good the other week, but I'm more talking in terms of the food. I'm talking the food, and the facilities. Yeah. It was good. Manchester United isn't as good as you think. It's really cramped, and that's not very good. Newcastle's always a good one because the atmosphere is always pretty good. And I did when we won 2-0 in the Championship under Walter Zenga. I did that game, so that was a good experience as well. And that's probably
a good answer.
Anfield as well, but unfortunately I haven't done a Wolves game. But Anfield's always it's a decent experience for You'll Never Walk Alone. And then, as we all know, unless it's a Champions League game, it goes dead after that.
Absolutely. Mel, from a player's perspective and maybe from a media perspective, have you got a favourite away day from when you played and from now from when you co-commentating?
Oh, I've got some stories about playing, but we'll be here all night. But
I'll have to do a special with you on that.
Oh, you can, yeah. Well, it's some of the on the different grounds you play at and different perspectives. Yeah, some of it's X-rated, I'll tell you. But from a media point of view, and there's also a link to my football, the history of me playing as well, is Stamford Bridge, because the food there is 5-star for the media suite. You go, the view that you've got is literally yards, just a little bit out at the back of the dugouts for the coaches on the halfway line. So the view is absolutely brilliant, and you get looked after 5-star. So it's different class for the media thing. Steve, you'll have to try and get there. I know that's probably why Mike or Daz or whatever will always kind of just if Chelsea crops up, they'll always kind of want to do it because you just get looked after superbly.
Yeah, I haven't done Chelsea, Arsenal, and
Arsenal,
Tottenham.
the Emirates is excellent as well. But the fact that you go straight from where the media suite is, you just walk through and you're just literally in there, that you haven't got to mess about. It's miles to where you like at Arsenal. It's great, but you've got to go up about 5 stories to get to your seat, and it's a ball ache from the media suite. Whereas there's no problem at half time just nipping back because there's nobody in between. So it's really ideal from the press point of view, Chelsea. And of course, it always gives me chance to mention when I'm there that my first ever goal in league football was at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. So there you go.
Nice one to get in. Right, next up on the wheel of death. It's the wheel of fortune. It's Steve. This one's your main question.
Oh, blimey.
This is a good one. When and where, future or past, would you time travel to? Like, could be an event in a year or something. It's a good one, that is.
Oh, blimey. Can I have 2? One that's completely not football and then a football
Yeah,
one?
it can be anything at all.
Okay. Ancient Rome, because I love my history. And
Mate, me and you will get on really well because I love my history, and Rome is one of my favourite eras. I love it.
Yeah, favourite European city. It's just like a mate of mine's just got back from there, and I was saying to him,
You'll get
favourite
on well
European city.
with Emma. She loves Rome.
Oh, there you go. It's
yeah. She wants to go back, don't you?
Beautiful city.
And hopefully we'll get Roma in the Europa League or the
that'd be
League
good
at some point.
Yeah, my favourite European city, and I love pizza as well. So happy days. In terms of a football related one, I suppose you probably would either pick the 1966 World Cup final, wouldn't you? Or being a Wolves fan in the 1950s. I mean, to experience what that was like.
Honved.
Oh, that's a good one.
Being there for that night with the
Pushkas and
shiny
Billy Wright
tops
and
of Honved after they'd just beaten England in the as well. That with Pushkas and Billy Wright.
Yeah, instead I had to make do with being at the England-Hungary game at Molineux just last year.
Mate, tell me about it. I actually
annoyed about that.
Mate, I actually vlogged that, and I'm still getting Hungarians commenting on it.
Oh man, I'm still.
Yeah, they were so happy.
50 quid and Connor Cody didn't come on. I was so annoyed.
I know, I couldn't believe that.
Anyway,
why they didn't. How he didn't let him come on for 5 minutes. I mean, that was just daft. That was. Anyway, that brings us on finally to Mel's random question, the primary suspect in this one. Here it comes, Mel. Ooh. No, we're not having that one. Done that one earlier. Again, it really wants to get to that one, the favourite one. We're not asking that.
I got the early 90s Bukta strip. I bought that from the club shop before Christmas.
Yeah, we got the. It's like he tell he wants to do 2 questions. Oh yeah, here we go. This is one that Emma's put on. Would you rather have no nose or no arms? Would you rather have no nose or no arms? Well, I'm blaming you because you put that question on. What a question to finish on.
It's good because I'm going to go really off piste here.
Okay.
Because it makes no difference really. Because if we are spiritual beings having a mind-body experience, it's nothing to do with the car case that we're traveling around in. So it makes no difference at all.
Okay, I'm going to ask you another. I'm asking you another damn question for that because that was just that wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. So we're going to.
In other words, we're not limited. We're not limited by all this stuff.
I'm giving you another one, Mel.
Go on then.
This one's better. If you had this could be this is for you, but we'll go round everyone to finish the show off. If you had a superpower, what would it be? Everyone else, think about that, and you can put comments in the chat as well.
Well,
but
I have got the thing is, I have got a superpower, but most people don't realise that they have got a superpower. You see, that's the thing, and that's what I lecture on a lot. Is that we have to find out what our superpower is and what the seed of our greatness is. So, so we all have to be the best version of ourselves, really. But most of us don't know what that blooming is because society conditions us to be the worst thing ever, which is average.
What is your superpower then, Mel? Apart from being a legend?
I just raise everybody's energy and frequency so that they can perform at their best. That's what I do. That's my superpower.
I think that if your superhero name should be Enargio or something like that. That's
Energy Man.
What's that, Josh?
The Energy
Man.
Energy Man.
The Energy Man.
I think they went bust last year, didn't they?
Right, we're going to go around everyone. So, Craig, what would be your superpower?
Turning sadness off and making people happy.
Okay, we need a superhero name for him then, Josh or Chris. What would that be?
Mr. Happy.
I just thought.
Isn't that a Mist Man?
I'll always call Craig Mr. Dudley, but he knows what that is now.
Yeah, okay, cheers.
and I just thought if Mel was a dart player, he'd be Mel the Energizer Eaves.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Nathan, superpower?
Reverse male pattern baldness. That'd be a good one, wouldn't it? If I had the power to Shazam and your hair is back.
There is a way of doing that. You just get a wig.
I'm not. Yeah, all get a turkey. Yeah.
What would his superhero name be? Wigwam.
Wigwam.
I like that. Wigwam. Thank you, ma'am. Right then, we're going to go to Sooty.
Mine would be eternal mental strength, Dave.
Would people just call you mental?
People do think I'm mental, yeah.
Catch some brains.
I love it. I love it. We're going to go with Josh.
I'm trying to go through my Marvel superheroes now and think. I think I've said it before. I'll probably go super speed.
Yeah. Because you're quick.
I'd like to be quick.
Speedo. That would be you then.
Speedo.
Chris?
I think mine would be mind control. Mind control. So when I'm sat in the Steve Bull, looking at Mr. Saar, Mr. Kilman, Mr. Collins playing the ball between each other for 30 minutes, I can just tell them to do something different because I've had enough of it.
Telekinesis.
Yeah.
I
That's
like
what I'd
that.
like to do.
What would his superhero name be then, Josh?
Got to be Dr. W. Professor X in X-Men for the X-Men.
Yeah.
Professor W.
Yeah.
W. I like it. Right, Steve. You're in the centre of the screen, so that's why we've gone with you.
Oh, there we go. Being able to function on minimal sleep is how I'm feeling right now. Because I'm thinking my kids are off school tomorrow. Unfortunately, so yeah. Being able to function on minimal sleep.
I'd like to be able to teleport, because if I could just teleport, I could teleport myself to like somewhere warm at times and stuff, and just have to go there and then teleport back. So that'd be quite good. Right, just to finish off the show then, and everyone in the comments, please smash a like on the video and stuff like that. Everyone can put an answer to this. We're going to do a quick fire round. Where are Wolves? And we're going to start with Craig again, and we're going to work all our way around to Steve and Mel finally. Where are Wolves going to finish this season? What position?
12th.
We'll come back to this at the end of the year.
12th.
Craig's going 12th. Okay. Nathan?
15th.
15th. Sooty.
14th.
14th. Josh.
15th.
15th. Chris. Always deep thinking.
I'm not a believer, Dave. I'm going to say 18th.
Chris, you think we're going down?
No striker, mate.
Get down to use
Can't
them.
Can't see where
Get
the
down
goals are
Dudley
coming
Town.
from.
Get down
Can't
Dudley Town, Chris.
Can't see where the goals are coming
Get
from
off.
at the moment.
Okay. Well, 18th fair comment. At least you're honest. Steve.
Before the West Ham game, I must have been bored at home, and I did one of those predictors on the internet where you can predict every single result left in the season.
Never did.
I did. I was bored, very bored. 13th.
Oh, 13th. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling right now that's probably a bit too optimistic because I would take
none of
7th.
the
I'd happily take
optimists-
17th, but
he's got you down. He's got us down as 12th.
yeah, 13th. I'll stick with that.
Okay, and finally, to Energizo, Mel, what are you going with, mate?
Numero 11.
11.
I think that's Portuguese.
11.
18.
11.
No, it's higher than
Italiano.
18.
11. 11.
Oh, wow! 11th.
11, 12. 12, 12, 13th. 13th.
Now,
11th will finish.
11th.
I'm super optimistic.
Yeah, I see. I'm exactly the same. I'm super optimistic, but it is close at the bottom. You put string 2 or 3 wins together, and all of a sudden you are
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think this team can. I personally,
We're only halfway through the season.
Yeah.
If you look at it, if they buy into what he's playing, he gets a copy of this and he takes on board to just get into them at the training ground that they've got to be braver and they've got to get in that box more when they at the right time. Don't go gung-ho, but they've got to get 1 or 2 more players in there at the right time. We'll score more goals. Simple as that.
Well,
he'll take it on board because he's heard how good this podcast is. You see, Dave.
Well, you know.
So there you go.
We did win Best Premier League Podcast at the Football Content Awards, which was something.
I know. That's what I mean.
We are proud of that. I'm going to just say this to Chris. Chris, 18 games to go. We only need to win 6 games, along with the 2 or 3 draws, and that'll be enough to keep us up. 6 games, and we've got 9 games at home against very winnable. We're going to pick up the odd win away. We're going to stay up. So I'm going to go. Just because I'm daft, just to be daft. I don't think we're really going to finish this side, but we could do 10th. There you go, just for the fun of it. And then
I think the thing is, Dave.
I know I'm probably not being a bit crazy there. It's probably going to be more around about the 14th, I think, but I'll say 10th for a bit of fun.
All of those answers could be right because I don't think any of us really know, do we?
We don't.
No,
I'm just saying it out there because I wanted to just be one above Mel, so I'm just going to go with that. And then we'll look at it at the end of the season, and one of us are going to be right. We'll come back and.
Well, I hope it ain't me,
mate. Seriously, let's hope it isn't you. If it was a roulette wheel now spinning around and it dropped on 18th, we'd all be very, very sad, guys. In the chat, thank you ever so much for sticking with us. The transfer deadline window as closed. Nothing much has happened really with Wolves today, which we expected, which is a good thing in some ways. They've had a great window. It's been a real positive window. Wolves have gone and done some business, and now it's down to what we've got left. Don't forget, we've got Neto coming back as well very, very soon. He's almost like a new signing as well, So let's keep the faith. Let's hopefully we start scoring some goals. And let's hopefully we win 2 or 3 games back to back. Liverpool's going to be tough. But I'll tell you what, Liverpool are there for the taking this weekend. Yeah. And I think we're going to get a result, and I think we're going to win that game.
And I do.
And
I think this time we're going to have them, and I think the atmosphere is going to be good.
I think we owe the gits, don't we? So we need to.
We owe them, unless who's on VAR.
Well, it depends. It depends who's on VAR, Dave.
Lee Mason.
Lee Mason.
Yeah. Lee Mason, unfortunately.
We had the
That's
first.
the only thing that bothers me. But don't you think it's about time we had a bit of a run of a green and like we got the decisions rather than them to change?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
anyway,
the
we'll see.
first cup game I've ever seen that has to be replayed when the one team wins 3-1 in the first game.
Yeah.
You're not wrong there, Mel, because Salah goal, and then that goal, it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And but in some ways, it's done us a favour. I know we're out the cups and stuff like that. Southampton and Forest have both had 2 extra games. They're going to go out. It would have been a tough tie away against Brighton anyway. Liverpool got their justice with that 92nd minute defeat. So as long as we stay in this division, we'll win the FA Cup next year. How's that? And we'll finish top 6 next year. I've said it there first, but we'll stay up first. Guys, thank you ever so much for your time and sticking with us. I really appreciate it. Mel, Craig, Nathan, Sutty, Josh and Chris, you've been there from the start. Steve, much appreciated. And, Steve, if you ever want me to just come on and do a thing, obviously I was playing football tonight, just shout me out. And I want to talk to you actually about a little vlog that I want to do, which revolves around media journalism. So hopefully we can talk about that and get something organised with that. But I'll talk to you about that another time. I'm going to close the show now, guys. Just getting on to 1:45.
See you guys.
Stay up. Always Wolves, everyone.
Always Wolves.
See you, chaps.